Hello, Internet.
Hello, Internet.
Hello.
Hello.
Hey everyone, welcome to another session of the Dales campaign. Here we are about to cross the border forest, a fairy haunted forest whose relations with humanity have always been strained. We rescued roughly 30 Bedine women from a tribal ethnicity who have very little contact with the outside world. They don't even speak the common tongue. And although we had speculated taking these people over the mountain, where they might be caught by a Zentarum fortress, or under the mountain, where the horrors of the Underdark could prey upon us, we are going around the mountain. We go north through the border forest and into that fey-haunted wilderness that we know to lie there. The border forest is controlled by druids, if controlled by druids can ever be truly a sentence to use, since they're not exactly a strong or even united political force. But the druids hold a great deal of respect, command even. It's effectively their forest, with druids coming from biomes all around, the Arctic, the mountains, the desert, the plains, the rivers, the seas, and beyond, to all congregate within the border forest at a place called Seven Circles, a series of concentric Stonehenges that is meant to focus arcane and magical power within them. Anyway, these speculations are not really ours to bother with. By my recollection, we had made it to Stoneholm, which is a property owned by the Farwin family of Dagger Falls. Nobody lives here in Stoneholm. It's remarkable because it's the only building at 4 stories tall. It's the only building for several miles around, except for a strange wall, which is apparently being built by a stone giant before our very eyes. We've passed on by here once or twice before, and every time we come along, indeed, even when we rest, the stone giant seems to keep building and building and building this wall at a rate of a few hundred feet a day. And so when we wake up within Stoneholm, the stone giant is already out there at work a few hundred feet to the north. Oh, wait a minute. Didn't we end at the halfway through an encounter last time?
Yes,
Yep.
I think. Well,
I'd forgotten
because
about
we were talking to some. I forgot where they were from, but they were here for a thief, and we were like, "You can't take the thief until we leave tomorrow, because he's under protection until we leave."
All right. So
Wanted to happen during the night.
yeah, so this is an unusual situation. A man named Javal from Westgate is trying to seek refuge from a few Symbians, including one who was a member of the notorious criminal organization called the Fire Knives, a group of nobility who find it quite entertaining to commit crime and then use their vast resources to get away with it. They claim that this individual is a thief, is a registered criminal, and they claim that this debate is personal and has nothing to do with you. For now, Javal is with us inside the tower, alongside the 30 women, of course, and the Sembians are outside and they're camped, and they're just waiting this out. What's our plan going to be?
First, I'm going to try and pull him aside because he's with Westgate, isn't he?
He is indeed.
Mm-hmm. So I'll try to find as much privacy as I can, at least away from the rest of the party, since the Bedine can't understand me anyway.
Technically, you could get a whole floor to yourself. There's 4 stories, and most of the Bedine are right down the bottom, and so you could probably get a whole floor to yourself, at least if you wait until you're all alone on that floor.
Alright, so when I have him alone, I will pull out my mask and show it to him and ask him what he's really doing here.
Uh, I have come north. I am attempting to make it to. I am attempting to make it to Hillsfar. There, I will begin a gladiator stable in the name of our organization. We will use the best gladiators to add them to our own organization, thus expanding our power base in Hillsfar.
Gotcha.
You should come with me. Together, we have the foundations of a gladiator warband right here. We could be one of the most famous troops, one of the most famous stables in the entire city.
As fun as that would be, no, this is where we are, and we kind of have other business with all. And she'll gesture at like all the women.
Ah, I see.
We have stolen them from the Zentarum.
You could get a good price for them in Hillsfar. They do not only buy gladiators.
True, but Lady Eleanor would definitely not have it. I don't think the Dark Elf would either.
Ironic. Then you must help me get away. I cannot be here in the morning. I must be gone, without a trace.
Alright, so, about this building, are there windows? Like, I'm assuming there's windows, right?
Only on the 3rd and 4th floor, and the 4th floor is actually open, like a gazebo. Technically, the roof doesn't connect to the walls on the top floor. It's like I guess like a lookout, an observatory. Yeah, with a.
It's made like a defense tower, pretty much.
It's made like a defense tower. That's right. Yeah, and the idea is that by having a sloped roof, dragons can't land on the roof either. It's. Yeah.
And the Symbians, they're mostly on one side of the tower. Is that correct?
That's right. They're all on, and there's only one entrance, and they're all on the side of the entrance.
Gotcha. So, all right, I will let them know I have an idea, and I will get Lady Eleanor.
I'll be pretty easily found, I think.
Absolutely.
So, we have to get this guy out of here. I don't think he's guilty of taking anything from them.
Yes, I was thinking the same thing.
They don't have any proof. They don't have anything. So, I think we can lower him out of a window. I can make it look like he's standing there watching them. That way, they think he's there and they don't think to look for him on the other side.
Something like that could definitely work. Good idea.
Alright, do you think we'd probably... Like, I have rope. Do you have rope?
Yeah, let me check. I should. Yeah, 50 feet.
Oh yeah, there it is. I'm like, I thought I had a rope, yeah. So I think with that, we can knot it up and lower it out the far side while I maintain a minor illusion of him kind of peeking out the 3rd floor window at them. I've had a week to think about this.
It's a good plan.
Yeah, good call. Yeah, it seems pretty solid. All right. So, in summary, you want to create an illusion of him looking out the window, peering out sneakily, no doubt. And at the other side, the other hand, someone's going to come out the back and throw a rope down. He's just going to run across to the bushes and be gone.
Pretty much, yeah.
That's it, right? All right.
Yep.
He is worried. What if their trackers find me?
You'll have quite a head start on them.
Alright, alright. Can you give me anything for the road? Magic?
Anything for what?
Anything for the road, for my journey? Something magic?
I have four. I can give him another couple jars of carrion crawler mucus.
Yeah, we will gladly take them. Yeah.
Brings me down to 2.
Alright. I guess the only real challenge here, challenges are fooling them, and it being quiet enough, and then finally him not being tracked down. So, would you like to make a deception check or something to try to see if this ruse works? I know it's not necessarily like the best skill to use,
Yeah.
but if you can think of something else that might be appropriate, you know, deception's mostly a social skill.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I could do deception. Do I get? I don't get advantage on that because I'm using magic to kind of enhance the ruse.
Yeah, absolutely, you will. Yeah, absolutely. Right. Like, it shouldn't be a difficult task, particularly given that it's dark and there's a lot of noise from the various people. The factors are all on your side.
Are we at the beginning of the night?
That's up to Mara. She can do this whenever she wants to.
It would be after sundown. So
do we know about? Do I know about? Do I know this is what you're trying, or no? Am I not anywhere near you guys?
I can include you in this. Yeah.
Perhaps you don't know, but you come into it like while they're getting the rope ready or something like that. You stumble into them while they've started the plane.
Because I mean, I can make him a lot more sneaky and go out with him, and then use my form to get back in. I can fly. I can just bird and fly back in the window.
Oh yes, give me your magic. I want to use your magic to escape.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, you can pass without trace on him. Huh?
Yeah, exactly. So while you're dealing with the front, I can take him out the back and pass without trace out into the wilderness, and I can just flip to a bird and come back.
Yeah.
Yep. All right. So deception check.
Yeah, give a single deception check with advantage 26. They never catch on, and the description that you've already given, I think, is adequate, right? Throw the rope down, quietly get him down there, pass without trace. He's going to leave no footprints. Off you go into the forest. Give him a few vials of poison. Wish him the very best, and or off into the hills at least, not into the forest, into the open hills. There's a few trees here and there, but it is open grazing country. Anyway, and then you fly back. Like the job is done, right?
Yep, should be.
Right.
You get XP. As far as we know, he escaped during the night, right?
Absolutely. And as far as the Sembians know, the next morning they can't find where he is. Comes dawn, come on! It is time to come out and deliver the prize to us. But of course, he's long gone, and we're able to stall them. And by the time they get up, the 30 women have already come outside and made water for the morning and trampled any footprints that might have been left behind, which of course weren't left behind because of pass without trace, and it becomes an impossible task. We will not forget this, the Sembians tell you. The fire knives will remember this insult.
What do you mean?
You harbored a criminal, and you let him escape. You helped him escape.
I did no such thing.
You are all liars, all of you. Liars and enemies of the Republic.
Well, if that's truly what you believe, I can't stop you.
You cannot. They pick a random direction after a few hours of waiting, and when they are finally frustratingly satisfied that he is definitely not here, he's although they can't be entirely sure that you haven't disguised one of the Badine women as him, or you just put a hijab on him, and it's going to be pretty hard to tell the difference, right? So they're not entirely sure what you've done with him, whether you're hiding him in the crowd, whether he got away, or what. But they rightly suspect that you were behind something. There's really no other option. And in frustration, they prepare to ride off in a direction that may or may not be the right one.
Or he's just a slippery bugger, I can't.
Yeah, so just a pure coincidence. Just crazy coincidence that he disappeared while under our protection.
Great success.
Great success. The giant, as mentioned before, is still working, getting about 10 feet an hour, 10 feet an hour, 10 feet an hour, brick. The craftsmanship is incredible. The speed is phenomenal. The quality of the work is substantial. But having gathered our women and with little in the way of provisions or entertainment here, I suspect it's time to move on, right?
Yep.
At times
Yep.
like the present.
All right. So at this point, we will turn to Niam, our new character. Niam, we like to give pretty detailed, or rather develop pretty detailed backstories here in these kind of montages. So if you can answer these questions from something you already have, that's great. If you have to make it up on the spot, that's obviously also great. And together we'll find out who your character is, why they're here, and what it is that they want.
Great, sounds fun.
Very good, very good. You are a forest gnome, is that correct?
Yes, that's right.
Cool. Tell me about your society, about your family or your grandparents or the village, or did you come from the city? Are you an urban forest gnome? What's the environment or the social structure life among the people that you come from?
Well, what I've got so far is basically that he is from a village in the forest, but they weren't completely isolated. They did have some pretty regular contact with a group of elves who weren't too far away, kind of in the same forest.
Well, that's cool.
Yeah. As far as the culture and society, I'm not sure I've got that fully fleshed out.
We'll totally invent it now. So they interact with the elves. I assume that they've been doing this for centuries, right? Like for as long as anyone can remember?
Like, yeah, we see each other as just, mutual denizens of the forest. We work together. There's no real bad blood there.
Very good, very good. Do you engage with trade with them? Do you have those kind of relations, or are you just friends?
A little of column A and a little of column B. It's not necessarily a formal separation or anything. For instance, one of Niam's friends was an elf from that village, partially because of the relative to his people more laid back attitude he had jived a little better with the elves who are willing to take it all in a little more than Niam's brethren were of kind of that go mentality.
Yes, I completely agree.
Identified a little more with the neighbors.
Sometimes you just want to take a step away from toddlers and speak to some adults once in a while, right?
And a lot of that was just driven by he's just he's about 120 now, and for the first 100 or so years he was just enjoying life and fishing and hanging out with his friends. He wasn't really doing anything too ambitious or exploratory in nature for a long time.
Excellent. This is really good. So, what are some of the if you do a bit of trade with the elves and maybe even other people beyond there? What are the sort of commodities or services that your people offer? Do they have beehives, or do they make small enchantments, or maybe they train squirrels to be wizards' familiars or something? Is there anything that your people do that is a marketable commodity?
I mean, there are a few different, I would guess, goods and services flowing. Not necessarily any one specialized craft or trade that they were known for above another, but just whatever small exports they could do. They weren't, entirely reliant on trade. They were completely able to self-sustain if need be, but it was more of a spreading the kind of whimsical creations that they came up with to the rest of the world for fun, as opposed to a life vein of income and resources.
Yep, I get that. So what's the? I know this is a pretty bizarre question, I suppose. What's the government structure like? Is there a king, a chief? Is everything communal? Are women in charge? Are rabbits in charge?
As far as gender roles, it was completely egalitarian, and as far as a formal government, we weren't really too adherent to anything like that. We had the elders among us who, when there were matters of dispute, which were extremely rare, or just when people needed advice on the correct courses to take, they would be among the first that people would visit to consult with.
Perfect. A gnomish anarchy. All right. Cool. We get it last to you then. You're born into a peaceful society. You enjoy peaceful activities such as fishing and hanging out with your friends. Tell me more about life for the first 100 years while you were still young.
Yep. So uninterrupted, the rest of Niam's life likely would have played out very similarly to the first 100 years, in that he took a less hurried approach to living. He enjoyed some simpler things. It wasn't that he didn't have any talent for the creative arts or the arcane or anything like that. Rather, he didn't see much point in it because, like you said, he did live. He was born into a peaceful society. He didn't see the strife of the world as much as a member of another race or gnomes in a different environment might have.
Yes.
And so he spent a lot of time. You can say he was enjoying life and taking it easy, or you can say he was squandering his potential. It's kind of a tomato at that point.
Yeah, absolutely a matter of perspective. Okay, perhaps the biggest, well, at least one of the most important transitions in any character's life is what sets them apart from the average person. What takes a guard to being a fighter? What takes a sage to being a wizard? What is it about you? What was the event that made you more than the sum of your parts? How did you get your first level?
Yeah, so this is kind of the core of Niam's, like you said, reason for leaving the safety of his village and his life, and taking up such a dangerous profession as an adventurer, and indeed acquiring the skills to do so. I don't know if you would say everything right away, but the general kind of description of the event is he had a much younger sister, not even to her 100th year, and she was never very talented at arcane disciplines. She wanted very much so to become an accomplished wizard, and she would often go to a mentor who did their best to teach her, but she wasn't able to learn as much or as quickly as she had hoped. And so she took some shortcut and is no longer around, no longer with us, in one fashion or another. And the nature of her absence is, he's not necessarily sharing it, but it's something that seems like it's at least death or perhaps worse. And so that kind of triggered him to take his life in a different direction, take action, and look to, first he looked to divine sources, but no clerics, and no clerics were able to help, no gods answered his prayers. And so he's kind of now arrived at the position of, for a long time after that, he was kind of lost. He didn't know what to do. And he heard rumor of an arcane art, an arcane spell, so powerful and so esoteric that it could literally negate an event. It could change reality with a wish. And so he has now spent the last few years at that mentor that once tried to tutor his sister, learning all he could there. And he's kind of bumped up against the edge of what he's able to learn by sitting in a classroom and studying under this person. And so now he's decided that he needs to go out into the world. He needs to risk a little bit more to learn, to climb up the arcane ladder and unlock these really powerful magic. So he's firmly set on becoming a master wizard, specifically to use the most powerful magics to save his sister from this fate that he's not necessarily talking about.
All right. Well, where you might find the secrets of such powerful magic is, of course, a matter of speculation. But you have 3 leads that each are quite solid in and of themselves. First of all, we need to talk about Mithranor. Mithranor is called the City of Song, widely considered to be the greatest city that ever was and ever will be. And it was destroyed about 600 or 700 years ago. Mithranor is an elven city, or was an elven city. They were an elven city that lasted several thousand years, and they flourished. They were one of the grandest cities in the world, and then they opened their gates. The council decreed that humans and halflings and dwarves, and indeed gnomes, would be invited in to be full citizens and members of the government and cultural decision makers within the society of Mithranor, and it flourished. For a long time it flourished. Magical powers were so commonplace there that people would teleport to work and then teleport back home again. But Mithranor fell. I bring it up because it's not far away. It's probably another 50 miles off the map beyond this, maybe another 100 miles or so, but it's not far away. Within the general vicinity of here. It's also an extremely dangerous place, known to be a demon-haunted, dragon-infested land of eternal dungeons, where the very adventurers that you party with are often your most dangerous foes, since people who go there are usually driven by greed. Probably the longer description than I needed to give, but anyway, the next one to consider is Netheril. Netheril lay on the far side of the Desert Mouth Mountains in the place that is now the Anarok Desert, though back then it wasn't the Anarok Desert. And their society fell about 2,000 years ago, so a fairly long time. And they were the greatest human wizards that ever existed. Most scholars think that they were more magically advanced than even the elves, because they took everything the elves had to teach and then went further, much further. They did such grotesque activities as ripping mountains out of the ground and throwing them up into the sky and building cities on top of them and flying around in them for centuries. It was obscene. And so any truly powerful magic is quite likely to be found within the ruins of Netheril. And finally, and most briefly, there are the Dark Elves, the Drow. The oldest city in the region, at 4,000 years old, is a place called Mayrim Idra. Although somewhere in the Underdark, where, who bloody knows, somewhere. And the fact that the city's been around for 4,000 years should be indicative of its level of power. And Dark Elves are well known for their arcane might. Anyway, this is your story, not mine. So let's turn back to you, and armed with this knowledge, do you pursue any of these leads? Mithranor, Netheril, or the Underdark?
I think the way so the potential solution Niam heard about after having explored divine options and having been rebuffed, the arcane solution he heard rumor of was a spell he could use himself. But the way he would describe it is probably as two fish with one hook. So he's probably in this area, maybe having heard rumors of one, two, or all three of these cities. Yes. And his mindset would be, let's explore these places for a quicker answer. And on the way, if I don't find what I'm looking for there, I'll still be making progress towards, developing myself to the point where I won't have to look outside for it. So regardless of whether these places have the answers, he's definitely going to have to check. He's not going to be satisfied until he finds it, or until all three have been, thoroughly examined and looked through. And along the way, he's going to be trying to master, the Weeb himself in order to take one step closer to his goal, whether that's down path A or path B.
All right. So, let's imagine then that in pursuit of these three different directions, you look into each of them. We'll start with Mithranor. It's an elven city. You have an elven friend, and your culture is vaguely elven. Indeed, the village that you live in is probably a successor of Mithranor. Your family, your ancestors likely lived in that city, and when it fell, had to abandon it, and have now settled here as refugees turned permanent settlements. All right. You find traveling to Mithranor to be such a perilous and arduous journey that some great tragedy strikes, convincing you that it is too difficult, at least for now. What is that tragedy that makes you turn back from something that is so important to you?
Well, I did have a close elf friend that I'd spent a long time with, and it's possible he might have tried to accompany me on this quest and support me. And if on our way to Mithranor, perhaps we'd both heard of it. Maybe he knew a little bit more, and we thought together we'd have a better chance of finding an answer than either of us alone. And perhaps on the way, he fell to some trap or beast or other situation.
All right. Perhaps a trap and a beast. Maybe some cunning beast left a trap. A Medusa, basilisk, perhaps both. And your friend now has been turned to stone and lies within the Cormanthor forest, a score of miles west of Mithranor, where he is presumably going to remain until the weather erodes away his features of his face.
All right.
All right. So with your friend now petrified somewhere within the Cormanthor forest, you turn alone towards another option, the Underdark. How does one explore the Underdark? Like, what preparations might you have made for that journey?
Well, I've never been there myself. So some of the magics I've studied are more. I am a natural illusionist, but I wouldn't necessarily rely on, you know, that thin of a security blanket down there. So I probably would have been reluctant to ask for help again. But if I did find one of the either someone from the surface who was familiar with it, or someone in the Underdark willing to guide me for a fee, I might have tried to leverage their knowledge in an unfamiliar environment.
Excellent, excellent. So you strike up a deal with some Dwaga, some dark dwarves who are generally unscrupulous but honourable, if all that contradiction makes any sense. People who don't have your best interest in mind, but when they make a deal, they stick to that deal. You make an arrangement with some of these people, and you find that your illusions are very useful against the humanoid occupants of the Underdark, and largely useless against the natural beasts, since many of them don't rely on conventional senses like sight, hunt. In the end, you are forced to return to the surface again. Your Dwaga entourage meet the obligations of the contract, and suddenly you're on your own again. But you do learn something that might prove interesting, if not now, then at least later. The Dark Elves almost worship one goddess exclusively. Her name is Loth, the Demon Queen of Spiders. It's widely speculated in the Underdark right now that Loth is dead. She has stopped answering prayers. All of her priestesses have been stripped completely of power. All of the demons that she controlled have gone completely renegade and are now destroying the very society that they were forced to build. Dark Elf society, as we know it, has been turned upside down. They built their entire religious structure around one goddess. The priestesses being theocrats, holding all of the power, and now they have none of it at all. The upheaval is really impossible to really comprehend without seeing it, and you didn't see it. You didn't get deep in enough, but you hear this rumor all the same. They call it the silence of Loth, the death of a goddess. Although this has no personal relevance to you, do you have any thoughts on this upheaval?
So one thing that would potentially come to mind, and maybe it's strange to think of a dark or evil goddess in this way, but after having pursued divine answers or divine solutions to my quest myself, I would probably feel even more justified in any bitterness I felt towards the divine, seeing what would potentially be a goddess's abandonment of her people directly. But as far as the chaos, I would probably just recognize it as something that's, out of my depth, and if anything, even more so than just being an Underdark settlement, the thought of even that being in a further state of chaos would remind me of how idyllic my life has been so far, and how pleasant it was back where I'm from, and kind of drive home how much more and how much more dangerous the world can be than what I've even what I've dealt with up to this point.
Yeah, longing for those peaceful rivers and warm summer days.
Exactly.
Yeah. And so you pursue your third clue, and that is the Netherese Empire, Netheril, the great sorcerers who flew around in the skies on mountains. And that is going to lead you into the Anarok Desert. Getting to the Anarok Desert is difficult, and it's a very hazardous place, perhaps the most dangerous desert in the world, certainly the largest. And like the party that you're about to join, you consider your options. You could go under, back through the Underdark, but hey, I've had enough of that for now. You could go over, but because it's a narrow pass, only 15 to 30 feet wide, if you come across anyone, there's going to be very few places for you to hide, and thus your natural abilities aren't going to be as useful as they otherwise might. And there's the way that we're going, through the border forest, a place of many shadows and in many tricksters, many gnomes perhaps. And the choice of which path is the best for you is obvious. So there you are, heading towards the border forest with the intention to cross into the Anarok Desert and eventually find the ruins of Netherrealm. What happens is that you are going to camp in a place, a 4-story tall stone tower that looks like it has no guards whatsoever. Who builds a tower and then doesn't guard it? Oh, there's a giant there. Anyway, you're in the vicinity of Stonehome, of this 4-story tall watchtower among rolling hills with no other property to be seen, when a sizable group of people, more than 30, move in. You take a position and hide, and your illusions and natural stealth mean that no one discovers you, and you watched as apparently a group of knights or something are moving human cargo, 30 women. They are moving them somewhere. You'd have to stick around longer to find out where and why. But they don't appear to be slaves, though, you haven't seen that much slavery, so maybe you don't know what it looks like. But in any case, towards the as day turns into evening, a new group of horsemen turns up, makes some demands. Apparently, they want these people to hand over an individual. They refuse, and you witness as during the night they help this person escape. And one among them turns into an animal and disappears off into the night, or returns as an animal and reassumes their humanoid form. In either case, you see the shape-shifting transition. So what is your opinion on this situation where you watch a group of people escorting the helpless? They're asked to hand over someone and they refuse. They help them escape, and then they confound their pursuers. How do you react to this scenario?
Well, from the outside looking in, it might not be able to make any concrete deductions, but I would say that just based on their actions and as far as I can tell, their treatment of the people they're with, that they at least aren't meaning people direct harm in general, and that even though these people aren't interacting with this group of women with them in a I don't see them having long conversations with them. They still seem to be treating them well, and the fact that they helped someone escape, I guess, might give me pause. I'm not sure if this person that they helped escape is a criminal who's done something and they're helping him evade justice, or if based on their other actions and what I see, that perhaps they were themselves justified in helping him escape, in which case I would think they're either I would at least probably think that they are like a formed group. They're not casual strangers. I wouldn't guess that complete strangers would be acting the way that they're acting. But I'd probably be a little unsure, but guessing on the side of them being at the very least safe to interact with.
All right. Well, the next morning, after they confound the pursuers ride off in random direction, the wrong direction. It looks like this vast entourage is going to head northwest towards the border forest. Do you silently and stealthily trail along behind them, watching them, or do you interact openly and make your presence known?
So I can tell that they're heading basically in the same direction that I'm intending to take myself.
Yeah, that's right. In fact, you probably hear them even discussing it, pointing it in that direction.
Well, if at this point I'm leaning towards them being at worst kind of a neutral group, then I think I might, especially after seeing someone shift into an animal, and the thought will probably cross my mind of it might be safer for me in the short term to stick back, but maybe I was surprised to see one of them display those kinds of powers, and I'm worried that if I'm caught sneaking behind them, that it'll send the wrong message. So I might just attempt an open hail.
All right. As if from nowhere, while the group is discussing its tactics and rounding up the Badine and preparing to move on, as if from nowhere, you hear a voice, and a small man is nearby, dressed in the tools of your trade. You've got the equipment of what sort of things are you carrying?
I've got my staff, my spell book, and basically just a scholar's pack of more materials in that vein. I'm not whatever hard survivalist equipment I'd had was mostly used up in the Underdark, and I've not had a chance to really replenish the necessities. I'm mostly carrying the things that I perhaps foolishly thought would serve me well on the road when I left.
By the way, you actually have a free stuff as well, in case you're not aware. We're level 3 or level 3, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so you can have 300 gold, and the way you've described it is great. But maybe you've got 3 diamonds worth 100 gold each, or something. In any case, you've got 300 gold worth of cash that you can start with.
Okay, great. Yep, I've got that added then.
Okay, cool. So yeah, you guys look down, and it's a scholar or possibly a magician of some kind. Or maybe an illusion. After all, they look completely out of place here. In frontier Dale's branching country. Maybe they'd look at home in Shadowdale, but not out here in the hills.
What are you doing out here, little one?
Hey, yep. I noticed you were heading off in a direction that seemed to match my own, and I'm just wondering if I can perhaps join your group and try and navigate the forest together. I'm not necessarily, despite appearances, used to or familiar with that forest, and I could use some help getting through.
Oh,
Your
what brings you
death-
to the forest?
True enough, but forests come in all shape and sizes as we all do.
So your destination is the Anarok Desert?
Indeed, yes. I seek the desert on the other side, and the other means to it are as unappealing to me as they must be to you all as well. And I've decided that up and around is better than straight through in this case. And so I was hoping perhaps we could join forces at least so far as the desert.
I'm gonna throw an insight check out.
Absolutely. You can have advantage because the Badine women are very, not suspicious. What's the opposite word? I don't know, someone
Trusting.
dubious, perhaps. Yeah, dubious. They don't trust him. On the contrary. Anyway, what can you say? There's not much to learn. It's some strange little fellow that apparently wants to go the same way as us for the same reasons of us, just pops up out of nowhere with completely the wrong tools for the job.
Well, I'll give him a quick once-over with my divine sense to see whether he's a fiend, celestial, or undead.
At least he's not one of those.
Well, I think our party would be quite happy to have you, at least as far as the desert. I must warn you, though, that the journey will be quite difficult.
Yeah, it will take you with, but if you fall behind, we're not necessarily going to come back for you.
Well, you have my thanks, and as far as difficulty, I'm no stranger to it. The world outside of my village has proven dangerous, and I've learned at least some lessons in that department. And I will do my best to keep up and not be a bother and help out while I'm here. What I seek is on the other side, and we can part ways then if you like, or we'll have to see, I suppose, what the view is on the other side. I'm not as familiar with the outside world as perhaps you are.
I suppose you're curious about what we're doing with all of these Bedine women here.
I'd be lying if I said that I wasn't, but we have a saying where I'm from, and that's that's that. Well, even a fish can avoid trouble if it'll just keep its mouth closed. So I understand that everyone has their secrets, and if you're comfortable sharing, I am indeed curious, but I'm not trying to barge in where I'm unwanted.
Well, if we're going to be traveling companions, I think it's best to get everything out in the open. These 30 women that you see around you were once slaves, property of the Zentarum. They were forced to work in a lumber mill not too far from here, actually. We liberated them, and now we're on a quest to return them to their homes in the desert, which will most likely prove to be quite the task.
Indeed. Were you hired to do this? Is this something you do regularly?
No, this is a first for all of us, I would think, but it's the right thing to do. Couldn't possibly abandon this many people, even a single one of them.
Indeed. Well, color me impressed. I think that's mighty noble of all of you. And while we're traveling together, you'll have my my spells at your aid as well. I think that's the least I can do for the aid you're providing me.
That's all we can ask. Glad to have you aboard. I'll offer a hand to shake.
Glad to be aboard. I'll take it.
Very well, let us press on.
All right. The weather is unusually fair for the Dales, notorious for its drizzle and thunderstorms. We have a blue sky with ragged white clouds on the horizon, but those clouds are in the east, and we're heading northwest. We reach the edge of we reach the edge of the sawmill, and we've been here before, of course, haven't we?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was sure. I just have to make sure. Some music going in the background. I need to change as well. So you reach the edge of the sawmill, and you find it much the way as you left it. There is a protective ward which still glows around it. The log jam, I'm pretty sure, is still there. We haven't done anything about that. Are we coming to the sawmill? Like, that was an assumption that I made.
Suppose we can pass by it.
Pass by it, basically, yeah, and then make it to the edge of the forest. That takes about the total of a day. During that time, we see deer and elk and wolves and crows and pigeons and eagles and lots of wildlife. But we don't see hide nor hair of any humanoid, whether that be a rancher or a goblin or anything in between. So the last person that we see is the stone giant building his wall down in Stonehome, and then roughly 8 or 10 hours later, we make it to the edge of the forest. This is hilly country. It's a place where 3 geographic regions really run into each other. You've got the Dales, which consists of rolling green valleys. You've got the Desert Mouth Mountains, which is in very high, very steep peaks. And of course, the border forest that we're going into are old oaks and old pines, a lot of shadows, a lot of darkness, a lot of mist. Considering we're right on the edge of these 3 environments, we have a plethora of different options for where we might camp tonight. So where do we camp?
Perhaps we might find a natural overhang to offer some protection from the elements.
Can you do a survival check to see if I can figure out what the best option is?
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. The best option is what it depends on what factors are important to you, but there are many options here. You could be at the top of a cliff, or the top of a tree, within a burrow, beside a river, beside a lake, on an island. The options are almost unlimited within, say, a 3-mile radius.
Try to have our back to maybe some kind of hill, or so that we're protected.
Yeah, protection at the rear. Yep.
Somewhere with enough open space to put up these marquees would probably be a good idea.
Good point.
Yep.
Protection at the rear, open space.
And perhaps a water source as well, because
naturally,
a lot of people.
Naturally. So you get some fresh water and you test that it is fresh and it's filled with fish and otters and beavers. So you don't just have to rely on the fish if you want to hunt for some mammal as well. That's available. It's a beautiful spot. The frontier of the frontier. This is National Geographic country.
I'm gonna speak with those creatures, the otters, and ask them if there are any just what they see as the biggest threat kind of local to this area is that we might need to keep an eye out for. Just like what are they scared of? What's the big bad around here, if there are any?
Absolutely, and this is like the gnomish ability, right? The forest gnome ability.
Yeah,
it's actually one of my favorite racial abilities. I think it's really undervalued. Yeah, so you start chatting with them. Werewolves are probably number one. There are a lot of big predators around here. But they don't really come into the water. So the otters and the beavers, they feel pretty safe. They just jump in the water. The otters think the beavers are kind of boring, and the beavers think that the otters are kind of reckless and annoying. But they get along with each other okay, and they all share this river. And once you're in the river, you're okay, save for the occasional crocodile at least. But out on the land, werewolves, panthers, anything. The people of the black blood are who they're most cautious of. Lycanthropes.
While I've been watching the group interact, do I get the sense that anyone in particular is maybe in more of a leadership role than another?
Yeah, I think it's hard to deny that the knight holds some weight. Knights within human culture tend to be leaders, and this one seems to be making a lot of the decisions that you've witnessed.
Okay, and just for my own record.
But egalitarian all the time. Yeah, sorry. Yeah.
I was just saying, who are we referring to? Because I'm going to share this information with them. If there's kind of someone who seems to be a leader, I think that's who I would maybe a little quietly let know what info I've gathered.
That'd be
Lady Eleanor, can you do? Yeah, can I think so. Can you describe yourself, Lady Eleanor?
Yeah, I'm a bronze-skinned, human-looking woman with bright golden eyes and equally golden hair. I'm currently wearing a well-maintained shirt of hauberk, rather, of chainmail, and wielding a halberd.
Okay, and your Mara is no, I'm sorry.
Eleanor.
I'm trying to match names and faces with tokens and everything. Sorry.
Eleanor is Sirloin. Can we maybe change, if you want to, change your name like the way Pyro Artisan is, like or Niam Blake. Basically, to change your name, you can press the cogwheel on the top right hand corner, and it'll have your display name there. Yeah.
Since the other two people who have it like this have their actual name in parentheses, I'll go ahead and switch mine to that as well.
Good idea, dude.
There we go.
Yeah, make a something like that is good. We get the idea at least.
Okay, thanks. Great. Then I will let her know that we need to be on the lookout for some pretty dangerous predators and werewolves as well.
We thought this might be a risk coming this way, but given our options, it's still the best route. We've encountered a were creature before, and it was a difficult fight that nearly took many of our lives. I'm hoping that we don't encounter another one. Unfortunately, we weren't able to get properly equipped for the task of playing were creatures, so your talents would be quite useful, as I'm fairly certain that arcane power is one of the few ways to defeat them.
Well, I can't say I'll bring much experience to the fight, but I certainly know how to use the spells that I'm equipped with, and if push comes to shove, you'll have my spells to defend this place with.
Certainly appreciate that. That's all I can ask. I'll be sure to let the rest of the party know of the threat of werewolves as well, though we already suspected it.
Alright.
We long past the sawmill, or are we?
We are,
but
because you weren't here at that point. We can do a bit of a retrospective, a bit of a retcon. But we are at the edge of the forest, unless you've got something that you wanted to do at the sawmill.
No, I was here when you all were talking about going through the sawmill. I was just wondering how far we were from it.
I'm not sure. I suppose we might pass within, like, viewing distance of the magic circle, perhaps.
Yeah, it makes sense.
I feel like if something may come, it may come from that direction because things have things have obviously been there before.
True.
Yeah, you spot nothing that's unusual or out of place. It looks eerily tranquil the way a haunted house might, you know? Yeah, a cabin
It's
in
not
the woods.
reassuring in the slightest.
It's not. No, it's really not. But it has that lonely, forlorn, abandoned look to it. Empty but uninviting. Anyway, Bill, Dalavash, can you roll a D100 at a brand new table? There we go. Okay, I finished the table because that 91 wasn't written last night. Okay. So we have picked our ideal spot right here. Like, you might never in this campaign get another camping spot as good as this one. It's got everything you want. We've got the river, we've got the defensive position, we've got the wide open space. So you can potentially be wherever you want to be. You might say, oh, my character's in a small cave 80 feet above the party, or my character's beside like the ruins of an elven structure, or anything. You know, this camping spot has everything that you're looking for, which is why you chose it. Good thing I did finish.
I can find a piece of paper with the Wi-Fi password on it.
Indeed, that's right. Yeah, it's and it's got 5 bars right now. It stays 5 bars the whole time you're here. So you're in the perfect spot. Everybody make a perception check. All right.
No matter how high I make my modifier, I can't. It just my luck betrays me every time.
You need to roll a halfling, bro. Reroll those ones.
All right.
But not stop rolling ones and start rolling twos then.
Or could I have advantage because I can see super far?
Potentially, and it's twilight, so you're not a disadvantage right now. So I'll keep that roll in mind. Dalavash, how have you been spending your time here? In the hour that we've been here, what have you done?
It's nighttime right now, or
it's coming. It's twilight. Yeah, that's right. So we arrive at maybe 5:30, and something happens at 6:30. Yeah, what have you been doing for the past hour?
I've probably been at this point studying the stars, keeping updating my maps and stuff.
Beautiful, beautiful. Some owls come and land beside you, or near you at least, and hoot. And some of the otters come up out of the water and sit down near you and look into the stars. The animals seem to sense a camaraderie with you. They sense something about you that they don't fear. They get unusually close and unusually calm in your presence. Does that do you react in any way?
No, I well, keep paying attention to my book, and looking at the stars, but keeping an eye as they get closer. If they get close, I'll feed a little bit of rations to some of them if they get close enough.
All right. They're quite noisy, chittering and chirping and hooting, and much of the party will be distracted by this spectacle. You're probably not that close to Dalavash. It's a lot easier to get a bit of peace and quiet when you're a little bit distance away from the party. But while most of the group is somewhat amused and distracted by this spectacle of animals gathering around Dalavash as if he was a Disney princess, Aliun, you spot some distance away, maybe a mile or half a mile. There is a group of figures that are scrambling down the side of the Desert Mouth Mountains. And they're a very sheer drop, the Desert Mouths. Normally, if you fall off the edge of a cliff, you're going to fall for hundreds of feet. And this group scrambles down at remarkable speed, covering the 200-foot drop in less than a minute, practically jogging down there. At this distance, even with an excellent roll, you can only vaguely make out some images about them. But they are an unusual band in that they're not racially exclusive. There seems to be a group of maybe 10 roughly human-sized individuals carrying spears or something. There's an unusually large individual, the size of an ogre or of a small giant, and somehow it's scrambling down the side of this hill remarkably nimbly as well. And there's a figure whose features you cannot see at all. It just seems to be a dark silhouette, as if it's dressed from head to toe in black velvet or something. So a group of roughly 10 humanoids, a much larger individual, and this entity of almost complete darkness scramble down the side of an almost sheer cliff, covering about 200 feet within a minute, and then disappear below the hill line, vaguely coming in your direction.
Everyone get ready. I think the Zentarum are coming this way.
Damn it. I'll get my halberd ready.
Mm-hmm.
Where? Which direction?
From the hills over there.
We'd best be ready.
But he's entirely he'll like get the contract like ready, like out of his bag, like put it like in an easily accessible like pouch like on him.
Mm-hmm.
Make it seem like he had it ready.
I'll whisper to the animals, dangers coming, go hide. Not that I can make them hear me, but I'll just say that.
Right.
And I'll go be ready behind defensive.
They seem to understand and fly to the tree tops or scurry down their burrows.
Do we still have some silver arrowheads left? I know we had made 10 or 20. Did anyone?
Yeah, we should have some left over, because,
Okay.
let's see, so where's the party? Well. So we had 37, and you could make 20 in one day?
A long rest, but I'm wondering how many I can make, if one or two, before they get here, in case one of them's a werebeing or whatever they're called.
Oh, you want to make like an extra silver arrow or something?
A silver crossbow bolt for myself,
Sure. Yeah,
because I have
alright.
nothing to compete with a lycanthrope.
Make a carpentry check or some other appropriate skill.
Wood carving tools.
Works.
And I made sure I have all tools that I'm proficient with.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. Yeah, so you managed to get one extra arrow made. It's you don't know how long it's going to take, or if they're even coming to see us at all. But over the course of about 10 minutes, you get a silver arrow made, silver crossbow bolt made.
All right. I guess I want to preemptively just knock the crossbow bolt into my hand crossbow, just so I can have it ready.
Absolutely. Here's our tents, backed up against the mountain. Pretty defensive area. Fresh water nearby.
They're coming from the left side of the map.
They are coming from the south side. That's the problem. We've backed up. We've chosen to have the hill or the mountainside at our back, and they are coming from the mountainside, which should be the most defensive position. You wouldn't expect anyone to come from that direction, but they are coming from that direction. And their means of travel is bizarre. They're scrambling down the side of the mountain at remarkable pace when the drop is nearly vertical.
He's still trying to place himself in your like I don't know. Is there any talk is going to happen? Like she's probably going to be the one speaking.
Possibility. Well, there's not much we can do to hide, so we simply have to wait for their arrival.
Like the only reason you'd walk down a cliff face is if you need to go to that direction for some specific reason. So we're the only things feasibly in that direction for now.
What about how far time-wise are they away?
We estimate 10 minutes, but it's impossible to know since they just traversed a cliff face that should take 20 minutes in 2 minutes.
All right, I'm just going to get into story form now.
How dark is it?
It's getting darker by the minute. It's that level of twilight where 5 minutes ago the light was still okay. 5 minutes from now, it might be properly dark. Yeah.
He'll get like one of the non-silver arrows ready because he might have to use like his magic bow like to do something later.
Get a javelin ready for what it's worth.
Yeah. So you can position yourselves anywhere that you want to on the map, and you can put a terrain feature there, anything that you want to as well. If you all want to be within the marquees, nothing wrong with that at all. But because this is such an idyllic spot, if there's a feature that you want, then it's here.
I don't know how fast I can make these, but how well lit is what we're dealing with? Not very well at all.
It's currently dark and getting darker.
All right.
Twilight and losing light with every minute.
So I guess
Do we have any campfires set up?
Oh no.
No.
That's up to
So
you. It's entirely up
Oh.
to you. Yeah, it's entirely up to you.
he'll place himself like in front of a crate or something, but so like, he can sort of stand there looking like he's expecting like a visit, but then like if something goes wrong, he can just like jump behind it for cover.
Cool. So you've got a crate for cover. Ali, you wanted some fires? Did you want multiple fires? Because the women can, start put torches everywhere if you want.
Well, I just imagine we'd have some campfires set up.
Yeah.
For cooking and whatnot earlier in the night.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I think Niam would probably be leaning back if there were like any rocks or like decently big ones like boulders to lean back against, kind of closer to the fire. I think he probably would have been trying to lean back and relax. So when this band's coming down the cliff face, he might have stood up and turned, but not moved too far away. So maybe half hiding behind it, trying to see what's going on.
Absolutely.
Should we make sure the ladies are out of harm's way?
It's probably for the best for them all to be within the marquees and out of the line of sight of whoever these people might be.
should I go with them, as I think I have the most capabilities to at least deflect attacks? Or should I be at the front?
I think you have the highest AC among us, so probably the front.
That doesn't work. I tried to turn dynamic lighting on, but it didn't seem to work properly.
It seems to be working for me.
Yeah, I can see.
Dalabash, can you see? Can you?
Yeah, I can see the whole. Yeah.
Oh right, I just looked through your eyes and I couldn't see a thing. I wonder what's with that. Yeah, right. Yeah, I'm doing the whole DM look through the player's eyes things, and it doesn't work for Flightless either. But it's working for Niam. I don't know. This thing looks like a Roll20 issue.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so this is the situation that we've got: a relatively well illuminated camp, a fair bit of cover, and you're just bracing for arrival. Is this correct?
Yep.
Is that about right?
Mm-hmm.
All right, Ali, with that massive perception check that you had before, you can hear two groups. One group is scrambling around down this rock face to the south, the foothills of the Desert Mouth Mountains. Indeed, you can pinpoint exactly where the Desert Mouth Mountains start, and you are right at that location. You can hear people scrambling along that scree, along that loose stone. You can also hear something crashing up in a northwesterly direction, crashing up through the foliage and the trees up here. The scree scrambling is a lot quieter than the crashing, but it's also a lot closer.
I'll kind of whisper over to the group. We got something to the north as well. Be on your guard.
I want to, I guess, just send my Still Defender over there, and would the search action be feasible? Of searching, like seeing if he sees something. I just want to have him performing the search action up there while we wait to see what he sees.
Yeah. Search tends to find things that are right in front of you, whereas Spot tends to find things that are at a distance.
Okay.
I mean, perception, not Spot.
Perception? Okay.
Yeah, perception finds things at a distance, and search finds things in front of you. Investigation finds things in front of you.
He has a passive of 14 and dark vision of 60. If that also comes to account. So you said make a perception roll for him?
Make a perception check, yeah.
All right. 15.
There's definitely something out there. You can't see it, but you can hear it. Ali, you can make a fresh perception check as they close in.
Yeah.
All right. The same with you. There's something coming from the south along the Scree foothills, and whatever it is, it must be as agile as a mountain goat, because you'd need a pretty high dexterity to be able to navigate this loose and rather steep cliff face. There's something also up to the northwest, crashing through the underbrush, 500 feet away or so.
Okay.
All right. So we keep waiting. I'll make a stealth roll. Okay, cool. So the enemy has gotten into position without you seeing who they are. At a distance of perhaps 50 or 60 or 70 feet away, up there in the darkness, some bushes move, and you see like a small landslide of loose rocks slip down the edge of the mountain face, and some scrub fowl, some guinea fowl or something, take to wing as they're startled by something that is stalking among them. But you can't see what it is. And all the while, the noise of this crashing oath can be heard from the northwest, growing closer.
Fortunate spot to be in.
Yes. Just waiting.
Keep looking.
While you keep looking, you hear a voice let out a resounding cry down towards the southwest, from an elevated position, somewhere high above you, maybe 100 feet or more. Comes a command. It's spoken in a language that I don't think any of you understand. Does anyone know any ancient languages?
Yes. Dwarven?
Not Dwarven.
I mean, Orin, like the primordial, like
Oh, Orin. No, it's not a Orin.
water, like the air elemental
Right.
language.
Yeah,
Celestial and Quarry.
neither of those.
Not infernal, I take it.
Not infernal either. All right. So this command is given in a language that I don't think any of us understand, and an ogre comes crashing out from the northwest, rushing towards the campsite. So I don't think all of us can see it. In fact, I don't think many of us can see us, but you can hear it bellowing up there in the northwest. And so it's time for battle stations. All right, sorry, this is taking a moment. These, of course, all of these encounters have to be hand built.
Hey, Liam, how familiar are you with Roll20?
I've played a small handful of sessions, so like making attacks, putting your spells in the chat. I kind of get that.
Okay. Because I just noticed you rolled twice. Usually, if you didn't have your token selected the first time, you're able to use your first roll. You just have to edit the 14 to be that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. I forgot. I'm learning it's got a lot of little particularities and.
Oh yeah. Yeah. If you have any questions or need help, let me know.
Yeah, but go ahead and adjust your initiative now to the original roll of 19. Just click on the number within turn order, and manually adjust it yourself. Yeah, everyone forgets once in a while. And so that makes you at the top of the order. We've got a crashing sound from the northwest. We've got someone scrambling down from the south, and the orders are being given from the southwest at an elevated position of 100 feet or more. What do you do? Oh, fuck. Sorry. Something exploded.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. Poor quality merchandise in Asia, anyway. I put the fire out because it was a good idea to do so. Liam, what do you do?
Okay, so as of right now, I'm not able to actually see any enemies.
You are not. You can hear the crashing sound. You know there's someone scrambling, and you hear a command given in a language you don't understand. But apart from that, you are as bewildered as the Badine women you are protecting.
Okay. In that case, I'm probably going to just ready a firebolt, looking kind of southeast. Just kind of, if I see something that looks especially, hostile or is moving at us like it's going to attack, then I'll probably let loose as soon as I think I've got a decent shot on it.
Brilliant. All right, flightless. You are also clueless.
He has a plan. He's going to draw back an arrow and launch it straight into the air. And as it flies through the air, it'll seem to gather light from the starlight because he's using the hunting shortbow of the sky. And as it lands here, right next to Artisan, it will explode into glorious, not sunlight but daylight as he casts the daylight spell, with his with the arrow.
Oh, gee, the Drow's gonna love that.
It's half drow.
It's a bit further. It's 60 feet of bright light and 60 feet further of dim light.
Excellent, excellent. So, if you want to put down, you put down that token, right? That's cool. I'll give the illumination 60 and 60, is it? That's a lot.
That should be about pretty much the entire camp would be illuminated.
How's that? Did that work?
Looks like it.
It seems to have fixed my dark vision, so I mean, I actually have a limit now of being able to see everything. But it's good.
All right. Now, you still can't see your quarry to the south, well hidden as they are. I still can't see through Dalavash, guys. And you still can't see the ogre to the north as it crashes through the underbrush up above. So it's
light now.
The camp at least has light now.
That would be that'd be the end of my turn.
All right.
I'll move behind the box that I'm standing in front of to get cover from people coming from the south.
Excellent. Makes no sense to me. All right. Artisan.
Right. Is there a check or something I would need to do to know the, I guess, infliction? While I can't understand the language, infliction usually goes beyond languages.
Absolutely.
Was it like? Does it sound like an attack command?
Sure. If you want to spend the action making an insight check, you can. Otherwise, you'll just have to interpret it as you will. All right. Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. It was definitely a command given. In fact, with an insight check like that, you can even identify the language. You're the sort of person. I think you were shut down before they rose. Anyway, the language is one of the Netherese languages. The Netherese had two languages: one for their important people, for the nobility, and one for their low people. And this sounds like the language used by the nobles. It is some kind of command word given, some attack order. But while that's obviously important to learn, that attack, kill them all, has been given. The fact that it was given in a dead tongue is what's interesting for some.
All right. What direction were they coming in? Was it like over here?
There's someone scrambling somewhere to the south, though you can't see them even when they're illuminated, and the crashing noise is from the northwest.
And am I pretty much against a rock face right now, so I can't go up further?
Yeah. This rock face is quite sheer. It's not 90 degrees, of course, but it's a very steep rock face. It's the sort of rock face that experienced climbers would love. You know, too challenging for an amateur. But there's just enough handholds for a professional to have a really great time.
All right, I guess I'll just stay here then until they show up.
Right. Dodging?
I already used my action, so I can't.
Oh, you did. Thank you for clarifying.
As for my Steel Defender, I don't think he can hold actions, so.
No, I don't think he can.
He's just going to go forward and is this like a tree?
Yeah.
Yeah, and take the hide action.
Brilliant. Okay, Dalavash. We're in position. We're on Overwatch.
And we still can't see anything from the mountainside.
Doesn't sound like it. No. Even when you've got your light shining up there, we've illuminated the place. Woof! There's now light, like floodlight, really, cast all over the mountainside, and you can see some of the bushes moving, and you can see more of the scree falling, and you hear something, and you look over in that direction, but there's nothing to hear. It's just like it's a horror movie as you look up into. There's something there, but you can't see a thing.
I'm just gonna take a step up here, and I'm gonna hold one of my luminous arrows until something. If I can see something within 60 feet, I'll let it go.
Brilliant, Allione.
I'm going to kind of head up to the north a bit, see if I can find the big noise.
Yeah.
And I'll shoot a blast at the ogre over here.
All right. Oh yeah, there it is at the end of your vision. Yeah.
Yep.
You should be in the dim light since it's 60 bright, 60 dim.
No, I can see it. I have 120-foot dark vision.
Oh yeah. I'm just saying.
I think
He should be
from the point where the light is. He should be in the light.
Can you see it, Mara?
No, I can't.
No, I can't. Like, no, it's the dark vision doesn't seem to be working for me, so I don't know what you could see, and that's where it is. So
My steel defender would be able to see it then if it's right here.
Yeah.
but does the Steel Defender have 120 as well?
He has 60.
No.
Yeah,
This light source provides 60 feet of bright light and then 60 feet further of dim light.
Yeah, and I guess because it calculates the hypotenuse, he's out of that light. I suppose, like, might be what's happening. I'm not sure. I'm not sure why it's not illuminating him. Does that do it?
No.
I'll try something else. I'll try
I
something
just
else.
about see him.
Yeah,
You
you
barely
should.
see him now on the very edge.
It's because
Yeah, I can see
Change
him
anything?
now.
yeah, roll 20 does diminishing dim light, so it doesn't go the full 120. It goes like 105.
Yeah, right. Yeah. It's a roll 20 issue. That's what I thought. But anyway, so yeah, okay. So the Steel Defender can have its action if it has one. I don't think it has a gun anyway, does it?
Not right now. I was just noting that I should be able to see it, but yeah.
All right, no worries. So Alioun, yeah. So you can see this figure crashing through the underbrush. Now, naturally, it's got incredible amounts of cover, being behind not one but multiple trees and breaking through them to get to you.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So I'll throw a blast of moonlight at it.
Brilliant, and that moonlight penetrates straight through the leaves and the smaller branches and strikes it square in the chest. The ogre squeals, expecting much greater agony than what is inflicted, and seems to be encouraged, not discouraged, by your puny attack. Lady Eleanor, it seems that Ali has spotted and marked the creature.
Right. So I can't really see anything, so I'll just call back to Mara and Ali. Let me know if you need any help over there. And I'll just maintain my vigil from the south. And my perception check's not very good, but I'll attempt to make one to try and spot whoever might be up there. Because seeing as how well lit it is, I'm looking for things like moving vegetation and whatnot. Because I suspect that they might be invisible. See if I can pinpoint the location of possibly invisible creature.
Absolutely. So make a perception check. 2024.
Oh, that's persuasion. Never mind.
Goodness gracious. Okay. So you got 60 foot of dark vision. From there, you will see them as they begin to move. They appear to be a group of hobgoblins, human-sized goblins that have orange fur, little blue noses. And these hobgoblins are stalking down the side of the cliff face as if they were living shadow. They move from crevice to crevice, from bush to bush. And at times they're clearly in view, but you don't see them. It's that kind of camouflage from the Predator. It's a bit like that, although in this case it's more equivalent to shadow. They move from shadow to shadow, and when they're basically in direct light, they seem to turn to shadow or turn invisible, turn translucent, and you're able to spot them, and you can see multiple ones moving. But but other people are looking right at them and still can't see them as they approach.
They're right there. There's at least 4 of them. They must be using some kind of magic to hide. And I'll try and make my point as I grab a javelin and get ready to throw it on my next turn to try and mark their location.
Yeah,
And
sure.
as a bonus action, I'll hit myself with a Shield of Faith.
All right. And that's when they move in, quietly, silently. Although they probably at this point realise that Lady Eleanor has seen them, Bonnie's having a bit of a spasm. Oh, man. I think I might have to reload the page. God, this program's annoying at times. They move down the cliff face quietly and stealthily, and although they can probably see that Eleanor can see them, all that they do is take the dodge action, moving in even closer, almost to the very limits of the camp, but finding enough rocky ledges, enough overhangings, enough boulders, and enough scrub-like trees for them to find sufficient shadow to remain hidden along with their whatever natural or magical abilities they might be manifesting. Mara, you probably see a few rocks slither down the side of the mountain. You might even see a bush move, but you can't see your targets.
Gotcha. I'm going to go ahead and move to here. And I will go ahead and toll the dead on the ogre. DC 13, wisdom save. Wow, wisest ogre ever. Alright.
Ogre is not dead, so your toll does not work.
And then
stinky.
I will move back. Dude rolled a 19.
All right. You hear the booming. Oh, no, it's the ogre's go first. The ogre crashes through the trees and charges towards his target, which happens to be the steel defender.
He saw the hidden steel defender?
Oh, the steel defender hidden, is it?
Yes, it's 12.
Cool, then he might trip right over it in that case. Oh, not quite. The ogre smashes into the steel defender and stumbles, and looks down to looking around for it. But he is taken by surprise, so the steel defender will have advantage on him. He effectively can't see it because he's surprised as he runs into it and almost goes head over. Meanwhile, a booming voice comes again from the southwest, from an elevated position. What's this here, Mara?
Sorry, what's what?
Oh, no, never mind. Don't worry. That's my own icon. I was meant to be on GM Labs. Never mind. Coming from that southwesterly direction in an elevated position, you can hear the booming sound of arcane words being uttered. Zim-zola-bim, bum-ba, zola-do, zola-dim. And whoever's down there makes no secret of the fact that they're casting a spell. If anything, they're going for the dramatic effect and using the echo of the valley to amplify the fear. But those of you who have Arcana as a trained skill can make an Arcana check to see if you recognize the spell. That's good. Okay. The caster is using shadow magic. They summon a shadow blade. And they do it with the original Netherese incantations. Yeah, imagine reading, the Bible in the old King James version rather than the new one. They're using the language, an ancient interpretation. But the spell is not very common knowledge, a bit of a rare spell. Shadow magic has, of course, a sinister reputation. Neum, you hear this booming voice as the ogre nearly trips over the steel defender.
Okay, so at this point, the party's called out that we do have people coming from the south, at least 4. And I am able to see on the other side of camp, the ogre has come into view. But I still can't actually make out any of the shadowy figures to the south, hiding in the bushes and trees and the shadows they're casting. Is that right?
That's right. They got a 21 on their stealth roll, and because all that they've done is, move at half speed and dodge, they're still on the same 21 stealth roll, which Eleanor saw through with a 24, but none of us can.
Okay. How do you use the ruler? Like that, okay. Okay, well, I kind of like the spot I'm in here, and if I know that enemies are coming, but I can't see them, I'm probably going to try and take a pot shot at the ogre, and just kind of stay where I'm at. And let's see. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and cast Grease beneath the ogre's feet.
Excellent idea. Does he have to make a saving throw immediately or on his turn? When the grease appears, each creature makes a dex save. All right, immediately. That's not good. The ogre goes crashing down into the dirt. For a moment he recovers from tripping, but then he's slipping all over again. Like he stands first on the banana peel and then on a bar of soap, and he's
Excellent.
Cartoon noise of
That's it. That's the noise. All right, flight. So Neum, do you remain where you are?
Yeah, I'm gonna stay behind this boulder, and I'm still probably mostly focused on the threat from the south. I heard the call that there were 4 coming closer, so I'm gonna hope that I've helped set them up to the north and stay here.
Alrighty. So flightless.
And at the moment, I can only see the ogre.
I think so.
I guess I'll try a perception check to try to find them.
Yeah, sure. That'll be an action. But go ahead.
Yeah, because I think the party's got the ogre, so I want to make sure. Oof, my passive perception is 16. Did that change?
And you just you keep looking and looking and looking and looking, like those pictures where you got to spot the snow leopard in the picture and you can't find it. You know where to look, but they're practically invisible, manipulating shadow as they are.
I guess I will myself a bonus action hide.
Good idea. All right, so you duck behind some crates or rocks or bushes. You're hidden. Artisan.
All right. So I find it weird that the ogre and these people came at the same time. I wonder if it's coincidence or if they're actually attacking the ogre. So I'm actually just going to hold an action. I can barely see them, right? So knowing that people are having a hard time seeing them, can I hold an action to, if I'm attacked, I can attack in that direction?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, going to do that. And as for my Steel Defender, I'm going to do a Force Empowering Rend. Is it advantage since he's on prone? And he's surprised.
Yeah, exactly.
19 hit.
A 19 will easily do it.
Whole 4 damage.
All right, but it's annoying for the ogre, humiliating, but mostly infuriating, being slapped about.
And I'll have him stay where he is because he's in a good position anyways. That'll be my turn.
All right, Dalabash.
Alright, I will drop my moonbeam on the ogre. The ogre is prone, right?
Certainly is.
And I'm not going to try and guiding bolt him while he's prone, so I'll just drop my moonbeam on him.
Okie dokie, that will affect him on his turn.
And then I guess I will shoot my luminous arrow on as my bonus action.
All right, you'll be at disadvantage because they're prone, and your arrow unfortunately sails harmlessly overhead and gets tangled up in vines and leaves.
Alright, I will end my turn there.
Ali.
Well, run forward and do a dashing poke.
Ah, yes. Dashing. You skewer the pig.
You. That's it for me.
All right, it's a great strike, and at last the ogre howls with pain. Being slapped around a few times just annoyed him, but that really hurt. Lady Eleanor, you alone can see these shadowy hobgoblins moving in. And you notice that they carry no arms at all, neither sword nor shield, spear nor bow.
Concerning. Hmm. Well, I'll move forward a little bit to the base of the cliff, and then stab upwards with the pointed tip of my halberd
Oh yeah.
at this one here. Try and land a blow.
Yeah, and with nowhere to move, um, the hobgoblin cannot dodge your attack.
For 8 damage.
All right, but it's a glancing blow, and the hobgoblin manages to slap your blade away, bruising its hand in the process and hurting it for 8 damage. But the sort of attack that might have killed an inexperienced fighter has merely been annoyance for the hobgoblin.
I braced myself for the counterattack.
And the counterattacks do indeed come. Um, one that is in front of you, the one that is in front of you moves in, and it's on a slightly higher elevation to you, a rock face about 5 feet in front of you, and fighting in this position, this advantageous position with you downhill and it staunchly uphill. It's able to deliver a series of kicks to your head at advantage.
Oh. This is gonna hurt, I think.
Probably is. The succession of blows rain down upon you, one after the other.
So these are all advantage, right?
All at advantage. It's in such a great position. you're in a pretty bad one. You've got a good weapon for your position, so you're not a disadvantage. But it's just able to stomp down on your face 4 times in a succession of blows. And when you don't go down, it seems to be quite impressed. But at that point, although these creatures appear to be unarmed, they aren't quite. They have little shurikens that they pull out from within their belts, and they begin filling Eleanor with these missiles, valuing her as their prime target for now, at least. Okay. These are not an advantage.
Alrighty, so they would both miss, thankfully.
Yeah. There was a 22 in there, right? There was 4 attacks.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, so that one does hit and takes me down.
Does it?
Yeah.
All right, cool.
That's 5 hits I just took in a row, so
Then-
I'm down.
The other 2 come at advantage because they are going to fire on Artisan. Artisan, you were what was your action?
I was holding it. If someone made an attack against me, I would attack in that direction since I can't see them properly.
Brilliant. So for each of them, their first attack comes at advantage. 1 and 2, so 15 and 14. Do either of those hit?
No.
Okay, so they bounce off your armor, and then you see them. There they are, one behind the bushes, one behind the rocks. You watch as a succession of blows rain down upon Eleanor's head. It snaps away her halberd, kicks her in the face several times. Suddenly there are little blades sticking out of her face, and she's taken out. These guys try to hit you, however, and their little shurikens just bounce straight off your natural plating. What do you do? You've got your held action. What do you do?
I can't move with the held action, right?
No, you can just respond with fire. Yeah.
I was holding a melee attack, so I guess I can't do the other thing.
I guess not. No, if you're going to get your melee weapon ready, then there's nothing you can do, and they will continue to pound you with a succession of darts. 1, 2, 3. 2 hits, I guess. 20 and a 19. 12.
Shield.
Still up? Shield. Brilliant. And 1, 2, 3. And they're not going to get through any of that. So you get hit with, 8 shurikens? And all of them just bounce off. The first off your plating and the next off your shielding. But this is serious. These ninjas mean business. Mara, you glance over your shoulder, not expecting to need reassurance, only to see Eleanor fall under a succession of head blows.
Yeah, that completely changes what I was going to do. I'm going to go ahead and healing word on Eleanor.
Yeah.
For 4, because I rolled a 1. Go me. And then I'm going to, as my action, pull out my dagger and stab this guy in the ground.
Alright. Ogre is flailing around trying to get up like an old man with a bad back.
I'm guessing a 22 hits?
That's a fair assumption.
For 5. Gosh.
But he's got so much blubber, right? You just stab into the fat and you can't get to any of the vital organs. It's just layers and layers of fat.
That's my turn.
He stands up and begins talking in that strange language, that ancient dead tongue of Netherese. But even sophisticated as it is, it still sounds babyish. Oh, he's also burnt by the moonbeam.
Yeah, I was just gonna say.
12 won't do it, will it?
Nope.
Oh, right. Does the grease persist? Is it not just the instant? When the grease appears, the creature that enters the area or ends its turn. Yeah, ends its turns. So,
Oops. I didn't mean to click that. Sorry.
no worries. Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, bam, and the moonbeam burns away at its flesh. Ogres smell like bacon when they are cooked with radiant energy. For the record, this delicious, delightful bacon smell fills the air as the ogre starts to cook in front of you. He is filled with panic and filled with terror, and lashes out. 1, 2, 3. Lashes out at Mara with all of its might.
10 is not going to hit me.
Which is not enough. It then panics, and having no real sense of what is and what isn't good tactics, but knowing it needs to get out of the burning light and it needs to get away from you all, it runs. If you have a reaction, you can use your attack of opportunity. If you've already used it, you can't.
I'll let him run.
All right.
It's up to DM opinion as to whether still defenders can use their reaction to attack. Apparently,
I don't
there's
think
only
they
one
can.
listed one.
Because they don't. Yeah, they don't. Yeah, I don't think they have reactions. They only have actions. Be sure. I'm not sure about that, but yeah. I'll look into it. I'll assume no for now. So the ogre runs 1, 2. Had to get up though, didn't it? So 20 feet, 5, 10, 15. So it's not getting very far, and the steel defender can easily chase it down if that's what it wishes. Another command is given in the Netherese tongue, and Artisan, you can make another insight check since you were, comprehending the language before. Since you spent an action doing it before, I'll let you make a free insight check to see if you can understand what the change of tactics is. But you cannot.
Inspiration.
Yeah, sure. And we should explain now to Blake how inspiration works in this game. Every session, each player gets to re-roll 1d20. It has to be your d20, not an enemy's or not your allies. It has to be your own. And in this case, you have to accept the second roll, so it's actually worse than the first in this case. But once per session.
I'm sorry. I don't mean to cut in, but the ability I want to use says I have to use it before we know the outcome. I kind of want to use one of my portent rolls to give him a 16 instead.
Yeah, sure. I find the wording of that to be painful, and so yeah, by all means, you can use your portent almost whenever you want, and now is the perfect time to do so.
Okay, great.
Yeah. So with that insight check, it sounds like it is giving a kind of limited retreat order, not abandon. But fighting retreat, something like that. Yeah. Stage of fighting retreat, and the command is being given to the hobgoblins, not being given to the ogre. The ogre is, the ogre is lost. All right. Neum, you watch as these hobgoblins appear out of nowhere, literally come out of the shadow, like that guy in Ninja Scroll. They pick the face of Eleanor, and until she stops moving, they try to fill Artisan with shurikens, but they just bounce right off. Why are these guys here, and why are they attacking us?
Yeah, everything happened so fast. I wanted to make sure I wasn't gonna blast one of the group's friends. I was worried about that, but it seems my worries were unfounded. They seem to definitely be enemies based on the beatdown they're laying out.
Absolutely.
I'm just going to target the. It's not pinging. Because I'm on the wrong thing. This guy with magic missile, but I'm gonna make it I'm gonna make it a level 2. So it's just 4 d4s plus 4, right?
There should be a way to do it automatically. If you press the magic missile spell, you probably have to press it multiple times. But in that case, you've just pressed the description. Maybe someone else can explain it better since you guys work with player sheets. And then like that. Like
There
that.
you go.
And you'll have
I'll do
to
that
like,
3
press
more.
it. That's right. Like that. That's it. Perfect.
Future. Great.
Excellent.
So then that guy should take, yep, 12 Damahe.
All right, and he is able to resist, or she actually. No, it's a he. He is able to resist that punishment. But when he recovers, you can see that he has a busted lip and his eye is broken, and he's looking a lot worse for wear after that beating. And you hear him talk to the other goblins in the goblin tongue. Can anyone understand goblin?
I can.
Aha! All right. You're a fair way away, but you've got sharp elven ears, half elven, and you will hear them saying, "Cover me. We must return to the master."
They're running away. Chase them if you can.
Okay, so
One of them then says, "They speak our language. Speak not anymore in goblin." Anyway, sorry, Blake.
yeah, that's great. I guess I'm just gonna run up. Maybe I don't want to go too far up. Maybe I'll just move up to here, and I'm gonna drop prone as well. I don't think I would deflect those shurikens, so I'm gonna try and get low and just be ready to cast. I don't think I'm gonna be able to catch these guys. I'm not the fastest. My little legs.
Just go prone behind like a crate or something.
Like that, yeah, or a rock or a tree or something. So you'll get maximum cover as well. Yeah.
Yep. Awesome.
Excellent. So you got a +5 armor class. That'll be a disadvantage to hit you. You trench warfare. That's the name of the
Let the natural 20s reign for the for the caution.
Let the natural 20s reign. All right, flightless. You're in the middle of it, and as such, you're very effective. What do you do?
From his hidden position, he'll launch an. If you can see it, he'll launch an arrow at the one hidden, like the one that just like got Eleanor.
Absolutely, he has no cover whatsoever because he's effectively on a small cliff, which is how he's kicking down at Eleanor, making him an easy target for someone who has lined up a sniper shot the way you have.
23. And I have advantage to sneak attack.
Yes.
I think it's on its way. I click the button.
It gets on its way. Come on, roll 20.
We believe
You can
in
do it. We believe in you. No, we don't. No.
You have betrayed us all.
I'm afraid. You embarrass yourself, roll 20. We've got a new person here today. Can't you behave?
I can hear it going. It's really trying.
Oh, well.
There we go. And a lot max sneak damage.
Fair. All right, and yeah. So considering that he's on the edge of a cliff and your arrow probably hits him and causes him to fall, how does that cinematically look from your perspective?
I suppose as he's like looking down, like I suppose as he's turning to like speak in Goblin, like the arrow just pierces through the side of his throat, and the head like just pierces out the other side and just puffs up blood as he goes to speak, and he just sort of tumbles like. He probably just like rolls like directly on top of Eleanor.
No more. They know our tongue, and your arrow comes out through his mouth like a tongue. How horrendous! Horrendous.
The rest of them say they know our what?
You know what? Our arrow.
And then he will stealth again. Will attempt to remain hidden.
Brilliant. No! Starg! Let him go! Artisan. It's 1-0.
Right. I'm going to. Can I get parallel with these guys? Or
Like horizontal, you mean? Like
yes.
the same height. They're about these are pretty steep cliffs. They're probably about 15 feet up where they are. But yes, if you're able to, you might have to climb up a cliff to get there, but you can.
All right. Can I get right here?
Yeah, it's a climbing
Okay.
check though, and you'll be moving at 15 feet only because climbing is half speed. So make either athletics or acrobatics. It's a pretty steep climb too. It's not easy, but you make it. And so, without using your action, just your movement, you scale yourself up to the cliff, and he tries to fight you off and force you back down, but you get level to them. The little cliff that he's standing on, because they are all male, the little cliff that he's standing on begins to crack and crumble with your weight added to it.
With that, I have a Dungeoneer's pack. Can I hammer in a python?
Yes, but it'll take your action.
That's fine.
All right. Bam. Make a check that would be appropriate. Athletics, I suppose. Yeah, so you try to drive your python in, tink, 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 but the stone is either too loose in the form of shale or too strong in the form of bedrock, and your attempts to get a footing, to get a grip in there, amount to nothing.
Should have gotten proficiency in Mason's tools, man.
That would have worked. That would have been a great choice.
And seconding that, my Still Defender is going to 70. How much is this? 30? So he can make it about halfway. To make 80 for a dash.
It won't be able. I think so. So yeah, it's to get to the base. Do the base of the cliff first, and then it's every 5 feet is 10 feet, and you require an athletics check, DC 15 or acrobatics. It's pretty hard to get up there.
Okay, so math. 25 feet is what I have. So I would be able to get like right in front of him.
That's right. Okay. With the check, you can.
That's the acrobatics for 7.
But unfortunately, all that you do is scrape your chassis and take 3 points of damage as you almost get up there, and then the scree falls out from underneath you, denting and scratching your frame.
Yay.
Alabash.
You said that was 3 damage?
Yeah, 3 damage, that's right.
Alright, for my action, I'll move my Moonbeam map back under the Ogre.
No!
And my bonus action, I will shoot my Luminous Arrow at this.
What's up with that?
Jesus.
All right.
Yeah, Lady Eleanor was up, right? She's not downed anymore, right?
No.
Mara got her up? Okay.
Yeah, I got her up. She's at 4.
Stick right where I'm at.
All right. So you focus on moving the moonbeam, but your arrow flies wildly off target. Alioun.
I'll run back down to the cliff face, I guess, and throw a bolt of light at this guy.
Oh.
We are doing great.
Your bolt of light. Yeah, it certainly did. Your bolt of light strikes a rare plant and sets it on fire.
No.
Now you made the druids mad.
Okay.
5 bears come charging from the east.
Yeah.
That's right.
The entire lycanthrope army.
Nearby druid
I love
disguised as an ant cast Storm of Vengeance.
The Druids will remember this.
Don't hurt my plant. Lady Eleanor, you are prone at the base of a steep mountain. Literally.
Firstly, ouch. Secondly, I'm gonna stand up and quickly survey the situation.
I'm gonna get a faceplate from my helmet.
Yeah. I will. I'm in pretty critical condition here, so I'm gonna back. Would I be able to stand here? Here, next to the steel defender, without having to make a check?
Yeah, that's right. That will be part of the mountain, so you will have to make a check. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
Move.
this sort of goes.
I'll move
like
here
that.
then. I'll move right about here then. Just avoid
Yeah,
having
no
to make a
worries.
check. Try and sort of like press myself up against the cliff face to give myself any cover from ranged attacks,
Yeah,
and I'll lay on hands myself for my entire reservoir of healing
excellent.
and all the bruises and just scuffs to my face melt away.
Your tooth comes back.
Yeah. And that's my action. So that'll be my turn.
The hobgoblins seem reluctant to leave their companion, but at the same time, they've been given orders, and the situation has deteriorated. What choice do they have? They begin the assault with this one on the far right, hoping to bring down Lady Eleanor.
I don't think I've ever seen 4 multi-attacks. Like, that's insane.
These guys are pretty good. They're quite low challenge rating too, but they're a nice unit. I like this.
Would I get any cover from the mountainside that I'm pushed up against?
Not really, because like the cover's in front of you and they're above you, so they're just throwing it straight down above. Someone like someone further back, like Flightless, absolutely would. But from your vantage point, the best you can hope for is for them to not have advantage on you. They're effectively at the top of the castle, right? It's a great position. So no, this year is not. Does an 18 hit?
It does. So that's 2 hits for a total of 12 damage, which thankfully doesn't pull me back down again since I used all my healing reserves.
So that might be a bit embarrassing.
Now you'll notice that they can use Shadow Jaunt either before or after one of the attacks. It used it at the last attack. The hobgoblin teleports away, just vanishes, steps into the shadow, and appears in the shadow, some 30 feet away, and then takes the hide action to hide no run. It's going to move, and then moves into the darkness beyond the limit of most of your dark vision, except I suppose Aliun, as it scrambles up the cliffside, completely unimpeded by this very challenging rock. So that was that one. This one tries to force Artisan off the edge of the cliff, but it does it with its feet. Bang. 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 21. Does 21 hit?
Shield.
And when it sees how proficient you are with your shield, he gives an acknowledgement and says something to you in the common tongue. You are a skilled fighter. But we will meet again, he says, and he uses his last attack, bang, to hit the ground. And he hits the loose scale underneath himself, which breaks away, causes a landslide, and which he teleports away from. for running higher up the mountain cliff. So, Artisan, you'll need to make a dexterity saving throw immediately. And as you come tumbling down the mountain face into Eleanor and the robot will also have to make dexterity saving throws because there's a small landslide which comes crashing down above them from above. Steel Defender's okay? All right, Eleanor, you are not. Okay. So, Eleanor, you take 11 points of damage as Artisan falls upon you and rocks rain down upon you. And Artisan, you take 5 damage because Eleanor absorbed the worst of your blow.
I'm unconscious again.
Brunch.
320 pounds plus the rocks.
This hobgoblin jumps down the mountain face, just scrambles down there as easy as you please, picks up his wounded or dead companion, and shadow jaunts away. Oh, he doesn't need to shadow jaunt. He can attack before shadow jaunting. So he will throw 2 at Aliun and 2 at Niam. Aliun. Wah.
Yep.
Niam. 11. Shadow jaunts back up the hill face. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and scrambles off another 5 or 10 feet. So he might be visible to some of you, whereas these other 2 would only be visible to Aliu.
If he was at the bottom of that hill, he could see that space.
No, I guess not. This is how he did it. I think he was here or maybe here. So 5, 10, picks up his guy, shadow jaunts 30 feet away, which is like up here, which he can see. He has dark vision, of course. And then he uses the rest of his movement to move just a little bit further. Yeah. They can effectively move 60 feet in a round. Oh no, 70 actually. Their speed is 40, as it turns out. But I've only been using it as 30. So yeah, they can effectively move 60 or even 70 feet in a round and make 4 attacks. And they've got spells as well. They're nuts. Maybe their challenge rating should be higher. They're pretty cool.
Want to change from a forest gnome to a hobgoblin?
Yeah, serious.
Well, they're hobgoblins with
4
monk
multi-attacks, 60
classes.
feet around.
That's true.
I'll show you their stat blocks. Since we're kind of interested in it now because I like them. Does anyone mind? Would that be immersion breaking to do so, or should we at least wait until the end of the? We'll at least wait till the end of the encounter, I suppose, since it's not necessarily the end. Mara.
All right. Lady Eleanor's down again.
Yep.
So I'm gonna go ahead and hit her with another healing word. That's just 5 healing. I don't sneak attack with healing word.
All right. You find that Artisan is lying on top of you, Lady Eleanor, and there's this compromising anime scene where the shy girl and the robot come face to face, right? We all know that scene.
I thought I got hit by a big boulder. I guess not.
Well, there is that too.
And I will toll the ogre.
All right.
God, dice hate me today.
That is a magical damage.
Dice hate this man. Find out why. Number 7 will shock you.
I'm sorry.
Roll saving throw. Yeah, so he should have failed.
Sorry, I shook hands with Will Wheaton one time. Therefore, dice always hate me.
Nice.
It rubbed off even then. So the ogre is caught in the moonbeam. He resists the worst of it, but is still being painfully torn apart by it.
Yeah. Not that big this time.
Not so bad. And he too rushes off, crashing off into the distance and off into the darkness, putting him off screen. All right. The spellcaster calls out again in the Netherese tongue, but seems to be satisfied with the response, but unhappy with the assault. Right. The mission failed, but didn't fail in a catastrophic way. Yeah. Anyway, do we continue? Is that the end? Do we allow them to now get away, or are we in pursuit?
I think I'd just like to put one more arrow after them. Just so
yeah, sure. Cool. We'll keep going for the round then. Niam, do you want to do anything?
I'm gonna stand up. I'm not gonna shoot after them. I just want to look around the camp a little bit, just take a look, and not like patrol, but just literally look left and right, make sure there's no one else sneaking up on us. Make sure they're actually retreating. It's not like a false retreat.
Good call. You don't see anyone encroaching, and you notice that several of the Dean women have been watching through the tent curtain. All right, Flightless, if you still have the ability to spot one, it'd probably be this one, who was the one rescuing his ally.
Would I have a decent shot on him?
I don't know about a decent shot. He finding cover is not his priority. Escaping, and he's also carrying someone. A decent shot, I suppose. Yeah, is a good descriptor. Normally it'd be an advantage in a situation like this. I'm trying to work out whether or not you would. He doesn't have a lot of things to hide behind. He's carrying a guy. Yeah, I think I'll give you advantage because this is an inconvenient way to try to dodge arrows pressed up against a mountain face.
If it was unduly difficult, I do have magic missile, but I think I'll take the shot. That might do a bit more damage.
Yeah. On the contrary, it's hard for him to dodge it.
But I guess he does.
I think he does because they've got some remarkable ability because they don't have enough abilities yet. They need to have unarmored defense as well. Clearly. So yeah, he sees the arrow coming and he snatches it out of the air and breaks it. Then realizes he has no hand to hang onto the cliff face and quickly grabs on. Artisan, are you done?
Sorry. Yes. I'm going to.
Yeah. I wasn't trying to rush you. Yeah.
I'm going to get off. Yeah.
That's polite.
And in the case of a follow-up attack, I'm just going to do Cure Wounds.
Brilliant. That's a polite way of apologizing.
And Still Defender will use the help action to get her up when she deems fit.
Cool. Dalavash, you're probably a little dissatisfied with your moonbeam, but your tactics were sound.
Yeah, he's too far away now, I think. I mean, I
can't see.
I can't see him. Well, no, I can technically move it to him.
He's actually off the map anyway. Like he got to run like 60 feet, and the map, so it took him off the map. Yeah.
Okay.
I left him on the map, but he's actually off it.
Lady Alien, do you need more healing, or are you okay?
Okay. What in the name of all that's divine was that?
I don't know. That was
Me.
crazy hit and run.
Yeah, I'm gonna ask, what did you guys do to piss those guys off?
Never seen him before.
Yeah, that was new.
Interesting. Did everyone else hear that caster? Anyone get a look at them?
Yeah, can I see the caster? Or no?
The caster. I'll give you a free perception check, not as an action, Aliun. Because you can see all the hobgoblins with your incredible vision. You can still see them scaling. But none of them look particularly injured, save the one that's probably dead. So to take a lucky strike to take one out. And no, you can't. You know that they're in an elevated position. But the only thing you remember about them is that they look like a shadow, right? Like they were probably dressed in black velvet or something like that. Because even when you did see them, when they were coming down the initial cliff at twilight, even when you did see them, you couldn't make out a single feature. It was just black.
Okay. Well, if any of the hobgoblins have arrows or anything sticking out of them, I'll throw a bolt at them.
Yeah, sure, you'll have advantage to strike them. You can either go for an injured one. Oh, no, none of them are injured. No, none of them are injured at all, except for the one that is dead.
Okay. I'll just throw a guiding bolt at whichever one's closest.
Yeah, sure. And it strikes it and illuminates it, so the rest of the party can now see them, even if they couldn't earlier. He'll make a strength saving throw to hang on to his ally. Coming through, I think, and he drops it. No! And the body rolls back down to the party. Let him go! and it really has no choice.
He's probably pretty dead at this point.
Yeah, right. Like if he wasn't already, then that's the end.
Falling down a mountain or a cliff face twice on top of it.
Yeah.
Would I still be in range to shoot another bolt at him? The one that I did
70
before?
feet, so no.
They've got
Sorry, go ahead.
with their shadow jaunt and their movement and their stealth roll. You can potentially try to see through their stealth, but that'd be the only way.
Well, he's marked by the guiding bolt.
He is marked by the guiding bolt. True.
I'd have a 120-foot range on Eldritch Blast.
Because I was saying with
I
100, because
yeah,
I was
cool.
thinking about doing magic missile, and I was assuming he was 10
Yeah,
feet off the
sure.
map. So if you moved 70 feet plus the 65 he was already away from me, that would put him 135.
Mm-hmm.
I guess if you move.
Okay, cool.
So,
Yep, sounds like them. If your math all checks out, then that's fine. The angle is bad. You're firing at the base of a mountain up to the top of a mountain. You've got to kind of volley it to get it over the cliff to reach him, and all in all, it's a very tricky shot. So that'll be a disadvantage. It's compensated for by the guiding bolt, which becomes a flat roll. But he also has partial cover, not full cover, but partial, making him just that hard to hit. Still possible.
Well, yeah, 7. All right.
The moon blasts away more of the rock face. Of course, another small landslide. A flightless. Did you want to do a magic missile shot?
No, I think I'll. Actually, he got hit with the thing. I'll move forward and then do the magic missile. That can't miss.
Yep, sure, exactly. It can't miss. As long as you're able to get enough height, and we'll just assume that you can.
I think if I move 15 feet closer, I should be able to. So.
Okay, cool.
That is some nice damage.
Nice.
There you go.
some more severe injuries, but that punishment isn't even enough for him to, break his bones or start bleeding or anything. It's an inconvenience and it hurts, but it's no worse than sparring with one of his partners.
I guess the idea is
He's not
sort of like just sort of more like persuading them to shoot go away.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and in that regards, it's very effective. This time they get away. Alright, the hobgoblin lies dead at the base of the mountain. You will notice that in addition to having orange fur and a bluish nose, he seems to, or they seem to have purposefully streaked black across their orange fur, giving them the look of a tiger.
I guess I'll just search them, see if there's any like paperwork or anything on him, or identifying marks.
No paperwork and very little equipment at all. In fact, it has a bowl and sandals and a water skin and a bunch of shurikens. Seemingly unlimited number, right? Like a whole bunch of shurikens. But that's all it's got. Its clothing is very simple, a little more than not a kimono, but little more than pants and an oversized shirt that joins in the middle with a belt. Underdressed, under-equipped, highly competent. If it has one personal item, it's a jar of shoe polish or of blackening, some kind of tarry substance that it's used to rub into its fur to give this tiger illusion, and probably to help it with its stealth as well.
Can I identify the pace? Oh, go ahead.
Yeah,
I was just going to ask, do I see any small
magical
animals? Or are they all been frightened away?
Small? Yeah, sure. There's small animals nearby. Yeah. Most of them are long gone, but there are a few.
I might, if I spot a squirrel, I'm just gonna go ask and see if these guys are familiar, like if they've seen them around this area before, or if they're if this is the first time he's ever seen them.
They think they are goblins, but everything is probably either a goblin or a human or an elf.
Well, I'm asking to see, like, basically, did they patrol this area? Is this like their territory we've stumbled into, or have they, like, has this squirrel ever seen one of these guys before? Is kind of what I'm trying to communicate to him.
The squirrel can't really tell one person from another, not very well either. At least it categorizes it as goblin, and this is goblin territory. So it says yes and no. This is goblin country. Has it ever seen that one in particular? No idea. No real idea.
Okay. I'm just gonna nod and think it head back over.
Yeah. About this substance, artisan, non-magical. A tarry substance that is used for blackening. You might have it in makeup kits and disguise kits, but just useful for making brown leather be black, or turning your skin black because you want to hide in the darkness, something like that.
Okay.
Hair dye.
For the shurikens, can I try to identify what the metal is?
Yeah, what the metal is a good question. You know what? It's a pretty insignificant thing. It's just flint, nothing special about it. But, Delavash, you're from Zenith, aren't you? You're from those mountain temples up in the Desert Mouth Mountains, right?
I am.
That's what I thought. You will recognize these shurikens, and you will recognize the hobgoblins as well. These are the Tiger Clan. The Tiger Clan are a bunch of relatively isolationist hobgoblins, all men, all males. They work towards the perfection of their fighting form, like martial artists that roam the world trying to be the very best. That's kind of their shtick. These weapons that they use, the shurikens, tend to be the only weapon that they use besides their own body. Though they are proficient in other weapons as well. They just don't usually use them.
I suppose, like, how many of these shurikens are there?
Probably another. You can roll a d12. They carry heaps of them. They're only worth a copper piece. 9 flint shurikens. They're called, use the stats for darts.
Okay. So you'll just gather them up?
You have, 9 ninja stars made of flint.
From
Would
what I know,
Delavash?
does-
Oh, go ahead.
Would I know if these guys would be coming back, or is this like? Well,
It's a
what do I
difficult
know
question.
Mhm.
Yeah, right. They like to test themselves. They want to be the best fighters in the world, but that doesn't mean that they recklessly throw themselves into battles that they can't defeat. On the contrary, they take it as a lesson. But usually, if they get defeated, then they have a new quest to defeat the one who defeated them. Right? Like their mentality is quite predictable in that regard. It's not malicious. It's just I cannot graduate until I get past this obstacle that the universe has placed before me.
And
assume
they did
will
say
be
that.
coming back for the body at some point.
Yeah. They also were talking about coming back too, retreating to come back, to report back, something like that.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure this was like a forward scouting group. Would Delavash know what their numbers of traveling groups would be?
They don't normally travel, and often when they do travel, they travel alone. They don't form into warbands per se because they're not raiders. They don't achieve anything by going out and stealing something. There's no glory in finding a peasant and taking his stuff. There might be glory in defeating a group of mercenaries who are protecting a trade caravan, but even in that case, you're not doing it to rob the trade caravan. You're doing it to prove yourself better than the guards. It's a fighting game mentality where they're like player characters. They're obsessed with this one idea of I'm the best and no one can stop me. And when someone does stop them, they that becomes an obsession.
So it's sort of like the Predator from the Predator film, where like he's just hunting the people because they have guns. And then when they put their guns out, so this isn't a challenge anymore, and just sort of let them go.
Sorry, I think I lagged then. You might have to repeat it.
Okay, I was saying it's sort of like the Predator from the Predator films, where he just sort of it's just a test, and when they I'm just going to put my gun down then, it's like, okay, you're just a peasant now, I'm going to leave you, you're not a challenge.
Yeah, that is a great analogy actually, yeah. Because they live simple lives. They don't take drugs, they don't revel in sex, they don't have the common base ambitions of the common base goblin. And so if it doesn't help them with their Vegeta-like obsession with being a better fighter, then it's a distraction. And maybe they should just go back and be a normal goblin, because this is something crucial that I haven't mentioned, and the reason why they're all males. They're not a clan per se, though they're called the Tiger Clan. They're not a clan because they don't have families. They're only men. They're only males, and they're only mature, capable males. Nobody is born a Tiger Clan hobgoblin. You become one. It's like a choice to embrace a lifestyle. And so if you're not going to embrace that lifestyle, then just go back to being a goblin. Be a really big, tough goblin. Go and be the boss and have all the goblin wives and all the goblin loot that you can want. The Tiger Clan have higher values, and they don't normally work with others. Sometimes they do, but in general, they work individually, not even with each other, let alone underneath a commander. This is unusual.
I suppose if the attack seems over, I guess Flightless will deal with the body. He'll build a little bed of stones and put the body on it, sort of like it's sleeping, because he knows they're going to come back for it. just a bit of respect for
All
the
right.
dead, I guess.
Yeah, sure. A little altar, a little beer, no problems. Do you offer any prayers or anything, or any further preparation, or are you just basically making an object ready to collect?
Yeah, basically, like he knows they're going to come, and he doesn't know what they do. It's just it seems to be the right thing to do.
Yeah.
I'm sure we have plenty of wood around, so I could probably make something, if anything, like something for him to rest on. And who knew Goblin?
Alyun.
And would Dalavash know any of their rites at all, in the slightest, or how they treat their dead?
He would know enough that it would be similar to your own Dalavash, your own rites, whatever they are. They all follow a kind of stoic Buddhist mentality up there within the Zenith Mountains. You've got to have that mindset, otherwise why the hell are you living at the top of the mountain in contemplative meditation in such a harsh lifestyle, a harsh environment? So everyone has some people are lawful good and some people are lawful evil, but everyone has a kind of similar tradition. So with that in mind, Dalavash, whatever you as a player think would be appropriate probably is.
All right. So, yeah, I think the rites that they're doing, that Flightless has already done, is well enough.
Yeah. All right. All right. Well,
Oh, go ahead.
I was just going to move the scene on. If you had something to say?
I was just going to say, with where we're leaving him, I'd say just leave it well lit, so if they do come seeking the body, they know where to find it.
Yeah.
Or
do you do it inside the camp? Because this all happened. It's not even 7:30 p.m. yet. This all happened right at dusk. We got a whole night of waiting ahead of us.
do we do it on the outskirts of the camp?
I think somewhere closer to the middle, so we can we can watch it, so that predators or things don't get it, and then in the morning we can just sort of hope they find it before the predators do.
I can have my Steel Defender watch over it, so if the people come into the camp, we'll at least know. Or if they warp in, get it, and warp out.
I suppose we could leave it on the edge, leave the Steel Defender watching it, so if they come back purely for the body, they can just take it and leave. Just have the Steel Defender watching it, and scare off if a Craig cat comes or something, just scare it off.
Sounds like a plan then, right?
Yeah, I guess if we could put him right there, and he's just, boom. Yeah.
All right. Artisan, roll a D100. So we're all on edge, not the least of which are the women. The wolves start howling wildly, and the mist starts to gather. Fairly early in the evening, our camp becomes shrouded in mist, practically drowning in a sea of mist. Excuse me, which lingers throughout the night and all the way into the morning. It's not impenetrable, but it is thick. And so you're just kind of walking around in a daydream. You can see most of the camp, but even if it wasn't dark, you wouldn't be able to see much beyond the limit of, say, 50, 60, 70 feet. The fog is just too thick. The hobgoblins don't return for their quarry, at least not early in the night. But the howls, which have been quite incessant for the first hour or two, from about 7 through to 9 p.m., By the time the women are at last settling down, and by the time you've got to sort of work out who's going to take which watch, it's still in a transitionary period where multiple people are still awake, but you're going to bed, so you may still have your armor on, or you may not, depending on how high you prioritize your comfort over your safety. But you notice that the howls have stopped. They're still going on in the very far distance, 20 miles, 10 miles to the north. But any wolves that were howling within a 3-mile radius, and there were quite a few of them for the past couple of hours, have quietened down completely and can't be heard at all.
So how long into our rest are we?
2 or 3 hours. It's 9 p.m. now. We aren't likely to get moving before about 7 a.m. 10 hours. Well, we don't have to take 10 hours down if we don't want to, but unless we want to move before dawn, we will.
Okay. Either way, I'm going to go ahead and just use Arcane Recovery and get a second level slot back.
Yeah, absolutely. So if anyone wants to take a short rest, then you can use the advantages of taking a short rest there while we wait for the long rest.
I suppose with the long rest,
I'm glad you brought
with activities, Flightless will hold the death watch until he needs to sleep himself.
Yeah. Excellent. You're on wide alert.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely want to. It took so much damage.
Oh, yep.
Yeah, Liam just flexing on Ellen.
Mm-hmm.
After a meal and a cup of tea and a bit of conversation, you're all feeling a lot better. It got pretty brutal towards there, and if those hobgoblins had pressed the attack and had fought to the death, things might have gone completely differently. But that didn't seem to be their objective.
They could have very easily killed Eleanor if they wanted to.
Yeah, they could have. Yeah, taken her body with them.
If all 4 of them had focus fired me, I would have been wiped from existence, just completely obliterated by 16 attacks.
Like that last one, put 4 attacks on you on the floor and then jaunts away. We wouldn't even be able to find him.
But of course, where's the glory in that, right? What do they prove by gang bashing a lone woman? That's nothing. That's not a story to tell. The grandchildren I'll never have because I'm celibate.
They're incels. It's like, I kicked a woman in the face and she died. It's like,
that's right. Yeah. Yeah. I was in a better position than her, so it made it easy. Oh, that's great, Granddad.
I took advantage of the fact that my mate had weakened her first.
And then he's like, that's the last time I touched a woman.
Yeah, that's it. We're resting up, and some of you are perhaps trying to get some sleep, and some of you are not. It's early in the evening, and maybe you're enjoying some wine. But you notice that the howling has stopped or died down to the point where no wolf within 5 or 10 miles is howling. And then you see a tall, broad-shouldered, well-equipped figure, someone whose broad shoulders are made all the broader by the fact that they're carrying a bedroll on their back and the sort of equipment that we carry. And this individual, probably standing not quite 6 feet tall, can be seen through the silhouette of the mist and through the dim light of our campfire, coming towards us with casual caution. You don't hear their footsteps, for the record, but you do see the silhouette.
Oh no, not more ninjas.
Was it the old lady Eleanor shout? Like, hey, hello. You might wait. What is it? You mind introducing yourselves?
I come to speak to travelers who might bring me word of my missing wife.
Who's your wife?
The man walks through the mist without answering, and as he comes into view, you see a tremendously stocky fellow, very muscular. Not particularly tall, but very broad. Has a pair of golden sideburns that come down and almost meet at his chin. I guess like Wolverine. But his hair is a fiery blonde, a reddish blonde. My wife is a beautiful woman. Her name is Rani. She is a traveler, and I wish to know where she is. I shall not rest. Have you met anyone of this name?
No, I don't believe so. Where do
Can
you
you
come
describe
from?
her?
Yes. She has the tightest body of any woman I have seen. Athletic, slim, muscular, muscles bigger than any of yours. Not an ounce of fat. About as tall as I am. Surely you have seen this woman in your travels. She would have been the most beautiful athletic thing you'd ever laid eyes upon.
Oh, I'm quite sorry, but we haven't seen anyone like that.
May I share your camp? I have my own provisions.
See no problem with it.
So he pulls out a couple of fowl and starts stripping them in front of you, just removing their feathers. He makes a bit of a mess, but when he's done, he cleans the mess up and skewers the chickens on a rotisserie made of a stick. These guinea fowl, anyway, like chickens. And just starts roasting them whole. Why are you here? Are you claiming this territory? Will you build your house here?
No, we're just passing through on our way to the Anorak Desert.
It's good country. He looks around. If I did not wander, perhaps I would build a house here. But I do wander, as my wife does. And I wonder where she can be.
How long has it?
you? No. Go ahead.
I was going to ask the same question. How long has he been traveling, or how long since he saw her?
Been many moons, but less than a year. She said she was going south. She said she was going to civilization. But she wanted to make it in the world. I told her she could be happy here. She could be happy with me. Our life is a life among the forest. A life as hunters. We are not soft people that need to suckle at the teat of civilization. But I will find her, and I will bring her back to my home.
I'm going to Neem's going to walk over to him, and once he's said his piece and if things have get a chance to quiet down, I'm going to ask him what he knows about the Sky Mountains and the Anorak Desert. You said they were called Netherrail, is that right?
Yeah. So a low guttural growl comes from the depths of his throat as you come up around the side of him. You know, you mean no harm, but some instinct within him seems to suggest that you do, and he gives a low growl. But he answers your question all the same. I have never been to those mountains, and I have rarely hunted within the desert. The border forest is the realm that I know best. But I understand that the mountains are dragon country. A great dragon, red of scale, whose breath is said to melt stone, marks that territory. and any settlement that has been built in there has not withstood the threats of nature and of the dragon, proving how weak civilization truly is in the face of adversity.
I see. Thank you for sharing this with me. I'll leave you to your meal.
Civilization is like a man who will not do what it takes to get what he wants. He is a man who is content to merely live among the dregs, the sewers, and the ditches. A man who builds his successors off others, who cannot survive on his own.
I suppose, can I examine him? Like, does it look like everything on him is something he made himself?
Sure. Yeah. Go ahead.
Is he Amish?
Don't make perhaps an insight or a investigation check, maybe something like that. Perception.
14.
Lightless.
Real high rolls.
He has no weapons per se. He's got a bedroll and he's got a blanket. He's got some skinning knives. Knives are good for skinning, but you wouldn't call that a weapon per se. He doesn't carry a bow or a spear, nor even a walking stick. And when he starts eating his chickens, he devours them, and takes neither potatoes nor beans nor bread, just chicken.
He's like Hunter. I mean, he's either using traps or like he might be a lycanthrope. Like we got no. That's sort of where I'm thinking. Like either traps or lycanthropy. You know, to change into a bear, kill a few like things. So I guess I'll keep a watch on him. It's a bit suspicious.
Is there...
Are any of you married? Sorry, Ali.
Oh, I was just wondering if you had any druid iconography on him, but I wouldn't know what that would look like.
You can make a perhaps a religion check. No. He says some comment perhaps about the moon, and you interpret him perhaps to be a saloon worshipper, a worshipper of the moon, but it's a complete misunderstanding. Maybe he worships Alystra. She's a moon god, right?
Yeah.
There you go. You worked it out. He worships the rare, obscure drow goddess of light. You're pretty confident.
Who else would he worship?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, come on. She's the god of hunting, kind of.
Right?
I suppose what was the question the guy was asking?
Are any of you married? Do any of you know the plagues that are called wives?
No.
I'm married to my work.
He'll shake his head. He'll make like the sound of like a sort of a buzzer, and sort of look like a bit wistful or something.
Greatest curse in the world is love, you know. To love a woman that you cannot control. To love a woman whose free will cause her to roam from one side of the forest to the other and beyond. You cannot control a woman like that. Love is the greatest of curses that the gods have inflicted upon us. Love is pain by another name.
Talking about the greatest of curses, well, there's a tiefling and a kenku like nearby.
Yeah, and a drow.
I mean, I suppose that's not directly a curse.
No, it's a curse.
Yeah,
also, do you really love someone if you want to just control them? Like, you know.
Well, you haven't seen how tight he is.
Did you say that out loud?
No, that's just me as a player.
I thought that was player speculation, but just wanted to make sure. It's like maybe he has.
Yeah, no, I'm here going.
Maybe he's got an opinion on that. Maybe.
By the way, what is your name? Never mentioned it.
I am Raja. My wife is Rani. We are king and queen.
Well, it's a pleasure to meet your acquaintance, my king. Kind of do a little curtsy.
It's a pleasure to have you as a subject. I would see you as a queen as well. I thought perhaps you intended to build your castle here. Then, of course, I would have to wage war with you, for our territories overlap.
Is the thick fog still surrounding us, and are the howls that were going off, are they still just silent?
The thick fog is still there and probably linger all night. And the wolves seem to have moved away. They're no longer as close to us as they were, or if they are, they're silent. So yeah, they're still out there, but there aren't any in our vicinity.
Okay, I think I'm gonna duck into the shelter here and maybe post up just with my back to the wall. And I'd like to start working on a ritual to just detect magic.
Absolutely.
And just see if this guy's the cause or if it's just another coincidence.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Do we wait for the 10 minutes to pass, or just casual conversation?
I guess while he's doing that, I wanted to get started on trying to make more ammunition, and I also wanted to know if I could try to make magical ammunition with what I have.
No, you'll need a rune forge.
No, okay.
Yeah, unless you have a class ability or like a spell, like magic weapon or something. Yeah, you actually need the components of a magical forge.
Right. Then can I make regular bolts if no one else wants to use the remaining 16 silver arrowheads?
Yeah, sure. During the course of the night, you can should be assumed to make about 20. But if time becomes a factor, just consider yourself to be making one every 10 minutes. Over the course of the 8-hour rest, you can make 20.
Does anyone have a problem with me using the silver arrowheads? No?
No, not really.
Go ahead.
About how big is your kingdom? Is it the whole forest?
Oh, no. Down here on the southern side, I consider the southern tip to be my territory. I've never measured it out, but I figure it's about 50 miles wide and high.
Ah.
Yes. I can't be everywhere at once. But if anyone were to stake their claim in my territory, they would have to pay tribute, or there would be war.
And do you have any soldiers up here? Or is it just you?
Only weak kings need soldiers. A strong king can defend his realm single-handedly. If he has his queen by his side. What do you fight for, Dark Elf, if not for love?
I fight for my people. To see them out of the darkness and into the light.
Why would you fight for your people? They are betrayers. Treacherous even unto their own.
That is true for lots, but there are still good souls among us who just don't know the way.
You fight for love as well. You fight for a love that you have not found yet.
I suppose that's one way to put it, yes?
Yes, it is the right way to put it. To put it any other way would be wrong.
When did you meet your wife? How did you meet her?
We have known each other for a long time. She is younger than I, and I watched her grow within the forest. I fought her father, Yes, I drove her father out of my territory. He was a strong man, and I might have killed him, but he was wise enough to know when he was beat. Ah, yes. For a time I thought she may have been my daughter. After all, her mother and I were once close. But as I watched her grow, she became the greatest hunter I had ever seen. More beautiful and strong and capable than any other. Arrogant, she was arrogant, and obsessed with herself, for she knew how good she was, how beautiful, how competent. Is there anything more attractive than a woman with confidence?
Not that I know of.
Yes, yes. I had hoped that we would have many cubs, yes. I had hoped to raise a family here within this territory. A family that I would defend proud and strong, until at last one of my sons grew strong enough to topple me. That would be the future I would look for. I will find her. I will find her, and I will bring her back. Free will be damned. This is destiny!
Well, I'll keep an eye out for your beautiful wife. Let her know that you're looking for her.
Rani. It means queen. It gives you an A-gate. The A-gate is orange with a black strip down the middle, a tiger's eye agate. Not very valuable, but precious all the same. This will be your payment. The gods will see that you keep your promise.
Oh, thank you. It is quite beautiful.
Yes. Now, has anyone anything to drink? My throat is parched after my story. I give you chicken and you cannot give wine?
I believe
I'm
we're
afraid
all
we
out
don't
of
live
wine.
like kings.
Yeah.
This is what comes of traveling with women. Very well.
Slowly take a step back.
Very well. This shall be my camping spot. None shall disturb me here. I do not wish any woman sidling up beside me, for I am faithful to my wife. Am I making myself understood?
Yes, my lord.
Very good, for you are very beautiful women, and I feel that your temptations may be too much for a lesser man, but not for a king, and I would not want to offend you.
So, did he give like a good description of her?
I don't really think so, but apparently she sounds like a super athlete or something.
Darn.
Not
So
an
with
ounce
a good
of
enough
fat,
description,
muscular.
with a good enough description, I have this guy's self. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
Good way to
I
get
guess
your
you
head
could
ripped
keep
off.
asking. You could poke a little harder.
I suppose, like, because
No.
he
Just no.
to ask a bunch of questions about like eye color, hair color, height, stuff like that.
Yeah. She's well, it becomes difficult for him to answer because he gives the hair color, but then he gives a different hair color. He gives the eye color as deep green, but then he says, but sometimes it's yellow with sometimes the pupil turns into a no, just green eyes. Green eyes.
So every time he contradicts himself, like this will just repeat like the original answer and then tilt his head confused.
Yeah, and he goes with the original answer, and he essentially just describes a woman with bright red hair, around about 5'8" tall, incredibly muscular, but remaining very slim, not an ounce of fat like perhaps a marathon runner or a gymnast or something like that. Ferocious as the sea during a storm. Green eyes, pale skin, and he goes into quite deep detail in describing her sexual prowess.
Something that wouldn't be helpful in any way he would want us to use the information.
Precisely, and he gestures. He uses his hands and even his hips to describe her proportions.
How obscene.
How obscene.
While he's doing all this, has my ritual finished?
It absolutely has, and he has no magical items on him, and no spells have been cast. However, there is one icon that has a little bit of lingering magic. It's not magic per se, but it's kind of a universal charm, the way spell components might have a little bit of lingering magic, or a spell book, or something like that, or a wizard's laboratory. He has a little rabbit's foot that dangles off a small leather strap, and it just dangles around his waist. Apparently, some kind of trophy or icon. But yeah, pretty simple. Just a little white rabbit foot that dangles around his waist. And the school of magic is difficult to determine. It might be abjuration, but it's probably best described as universal.
Yep.
If my thirst cannot be quenched in either my throat or my heart, then I must turn in. I shall be leaving you in the morning.
Well, it was a pleasure meeting you.
I think I'm gonna come out, and just before we bid him goodnight, I just want to ask a question or two about the border forest and if he knows of major dangers we should be on the lookout for, or if he's only familiar with his own territory.
He assures you he is quite familiar with the border forest. The dangers are the Fae. The Fae will lead you astray within the border forest. They have an unnatural predilection, an obsession with children. Yes, they are often kidnapping children and taking them as their own, perhaps leaving their real children in an inexplicable exchange, destroying the very foundations of the families. Yes, Fae are not to be trusted, and they are prevalent throughout the border forest.
Understood. Thank you for that. We'll be sure to keep a special eye out for them.
Right, and oh, how rude of me! You will want me to take a watch, no doubt. I will volunteer myself for last watch.
Oh, that won't be necessary. You're a guest.
Very well. I will not say no. After all, a king needs to rest. And he does. And he's snoring fairly soon after, and gosh, he snores. He snores loud. Does that thing that dogs do when they chase rabbits. Kicks. Sleep. Alright. The night is relatively peaceful, save for the roaring, snoring from our companions' direction. And when dawn comes, most of us are fully refreshed. We camped here as the sun went down. We're able to disassemble as the sun comes up, and thus most of us, including the Badine, are fully rested and refreshed and recovered the next morning. The king hungers, Raja hungers, and he seeks meat. Does anyone have any beef, pork, anything else? Dragon?
Drag.
Imagine I'd have some dried fish or something like that. I'd be willing to share.
He tries not to express his displeasure, but he gives one of those passive-aggressive answers that the people who give them think is praise, but nobody else does. Oh, this is extremely dry, isn't it? Yes. It's got a strong flavour, pungent. Yeah.
Product of the city.
Yeah, exactly. Manufactured food. All the nutrition goes out of it when you dry it, you know. Yeah. But shortly after, he seems quite eager to get on his way.
Well, good luck in your search.
I will find her. It is my destiny.
Out of curiosity, what color eyes did the hobgoblin have?
Whoa, the hobgoblin. Beady little black one. Yeah,
Okay.
no pupils or anything, just beady black eyes like a bat.
I'd laugh if like the reddish fur or whatever was what he was talking about.
His
Wife
wife.
is a hobgoblin.
Yeah.
Well, they're women that can stand up for themselves, right? You know,
Yeah.
It's like the hobgoblin doesn't even know that's why she's so aggressive.
doesn't realise they're married.
Just attacked.
Just thought they were sleeping together for a couple of months. Just thought it was casual. Ends up he thinks they're married. Anyway, sorry.
The Goblin Bland was like, "Yeah, her body should be over there. That's where we dropped it. I know you guys saw her around here, right?" Would add up. Yeah.
He finds the goblin, who was a male, incidentally, and he has found his wife. Yeah, that would be heartbreaking. Heartbreaking. Eleanor, St. Loin, a D100, please.
Alrighty. Seem to have a history of rolling interesting ones, so let's see how it goes.
82nd. Okay. Alright. So we headed last into the forest proper. Do we have anything that would be inconvenient in a forest? Like, I don't know. We have no wagons, specifically, right? We have no wagons.
Yeah, we just have horses right now.
We have horses. And the horses, we're not riding the horses, we've basically strapped the marquees to the horses, and we break the marquees down, I remember that. We break them and mend them again, right? So the marquees aren't, they don't have 6 foot long poles, they got 3 foot long poles. We use the mending spell on them time and time again. Yeah. Brilliant. Yeah, so we're pretty well equipped. But shit, what an entourage. 30 desert dwelling women, a handful of horses loaded with pack gear. Some of us are armored and some of us are not. We must be an unusual sight to the parrots and the monkeys as we try to traipse through whatever game trail we can find, or following rivers and with all the mist never leaves the border forest. You can never see very far. And you can rarely see the ground. Even when you're stepping, you tend to be stepping on mist so thick that the ground doesn't become apparent until you swirl your foot around and stir up the air and make the ground visible in front of you. You could stumble into a hunter's trap or even a watering hole inadvertently quite easily. So if you imagine this situation, and naturally the women are terrified, so they look into the mist. It's an extremely unfamiliar environment for them. How do we keep it all together? How do we keep our party moving? It's one thing to move with a group of 5. It's something different with 35.
I'll take up the rear, kind of make sure no one stays too far off the path.
Excellent.
We kind of
I'm
have.
assuming I am at the front.
Makes sense.
I'm assuming we kind of have people kind of spread around like you would just around the edge of the non-combatants, just to kind of keep an eye on them.
Well, it's definitely not single file. It's more like a an escort formation with the pool of women in the center and Dalavash at the front and Ali at the back and the rest of us on the wings.
Can we find enough long sticks to kind of give most of them walking sticks to kind of check the ground in front of them as they go?
Yeah, absolutely. Plenty of 101 sticks in 101 feet. So yeah, plenty of sticks and they trot around. It slows us down, but the number of toads and snakes and scorpions that we avoid through caution is probably worth it.
Mostly, I'm going to be at the middle, 30 feet from the back, and I'm just going to keep illusion cantripping just arrows pointing the direction we're going. That way, if anyone for some reason at the very back straggles, they don't lose sight of us in the brush.
Great idea. And if there happens to be any observer who can see through the mist or whatever, they probably think it's fairies, because that sounds like fairy shit. Laying little glowing arrows everywhere that we go. That's
And Flights will pull himself where he can hear most of them most of the time. Because they seem to be quite, not secretive, but keeping their problems to themselves. If you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like, he's got his little book of phrases, so he's like, one of them's like, oh, I'm hurt. To one of their friends, he's listening out for stuff like that.
I miss my husband. I miss my mother. Yeah.
Yeah, just making sure they're not inadvertently hiding something that should be told to someone who can help them. I twisted my ankle, but I'm not going to tell anyone.
Yeah. All right, make an insight check. Flightless as you observe these people.
16.
Yeah. They're frightened, but apart from their fear, they're in surprisingly good spirits. We're going home. We're fairly safe with these people. This is a terrifying ordeal, a terrifying journey, but we will get through it. Dalavash, can you make a survival check or a perception check or something that would be useful in choosing a path?
Do a guidance.
16 is good anyway, so that's good. You find markers from druids of a long time ago. There are what would appear to be a pile of stones to anyone else. To you as a cairn, probably a burial mound of some sort for relatively mid-range important people. And on that cairn, you'll find old druidic inscriptions, ancient runes that convey thoughts and feelings rather than direct messages. Things like death and rebirth and accomplishment and heroic sacrifice and so on. And it's not that you find more than one of these little cairns. And it becomes apparent to you, Dalavash, that you are in an ancient druidic burial ground. Probably something very broad. It might cover several acres, rather than being a tight cemetery that we might associate with civilized cultures. Instead, the druids spread themselves out over a vast field, if you will, right, vast sector of the forest. So you think that you are walking through a druidic burial ground.
I will turn to my friends and say, "Be careful where you step. We are walking through sacred lands for the druids."
Good.
A little further on, we come to a berm, which is a word that I only learnt about a month ago. An elevated hill, probably man-made, most likely, but it seems natural enough that it certainly could be natural. The berm is about 15 feet high, about 80 feet wide, so it's quite large, a grassy knoll, if you would prefer. And this grassy knoll, because it's only about 15 feet high and the mist is about 5 feet deep, at least the thickest of the mist. The mist goes all the way to the treetops, but the thickest mist is about 5 feet deep. This berm appears to be an island unto itself. There are no trees upon it, and there are no trees within 10 or 15 feet of it. And the sea of mist just creates the illusion that it is an island unto itself. We can avoid it completely. We can see it through the tree line long before we ever get close enough to it to notice any details about it. And if that's what we want to do, then we're able to go right around it with ease.
Yeah, I think I'm going to guide everybody around it.
Watch that be like a guardian of some kind.
Hmm.
Well, it's druidic burial grounds around here, so I'd rather not disturb. I would definitely guide around it.
All right. Does anyone prove inquisitive enough to break away from the party? Because it would be easy enough for you to do since we're spread out. You could linger behind and then get a bit of a peek and catch up with the party, and they probably wouldn't even notice that you were gone.
So
No?
was it? That was just off the bus.
Sorry?
I think I cut out for a bit. What wasn't it like?
Oh.
What was off the path?
Okay, so there is a clearing, and out of that clearing, in a sea of mist, rises a small hill, only 15 feet high, only very small, 80 feet wide, but we think that it might be a druid burial ground. The party is avoiding it, but you don't have to if you want. You could go and have a look if you want to split the party. If you want to split the party.
Actually, that sounds like a bad idea, but I'm curious.
Oh, I shouldn't. I really don't want to discourage you. But anyway, and so you go around. The party avoids this area. The Bedine agree that it has an eerie feeling to it, and they want nothing to do with it. So we go around. Mara, a D100. Mara there?
Sorry, what was that? I didn't hear.
1 D100, please.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, sure. 24. All right. Okay. We travel through the mist, and we're quite loud as we do so. So it's pretty unlikely that anything is going to sneak up on us. It's pretty unlikely that we're going to sneak up on anything. More likely that things would be able to sneak up on us. So it's a little bit surprising when we hear the sounds of horses whinnying and neighing, and the chuckle of laughter. Possibly children's laughter, but maybe not. Could be it could be women. But we hear the sounds of horses whinnying and of women or children laughing. Somewhere within the mist. It's not exactly in the direction that we're going, but it's not that far out of our way that it would slow us down tremendously.
Children laughing in a forest infested with fae? I don't think so. No.
We avoid?
I'd say so. If no one else.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I'm gonna.
Definitely.
Hey, I feel like we were just told not to let ourselves be lured off. So, as enticing as odd giggling and the mist sounds, I think I'm gonna stick with the caravan. And my goal is lying in the desert. I'm not trying to run after every shiny thing I see or hear in this forest.
Good point. Good point.
I think there's
I will have my still. Go ahead.
I was gonna say there's like only one sound that would make flightless like leave the path. It's like that little buzzing sound you made earlier. If you heard that, you'd go out into the forest.
All right. Liam, a D100, please. Sorry, yeah, with robot.
I just have my Still Defender be on that side in case we are attacked from that side. He can try to deflect.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you. Okay.
Uh-oh.
It's late afternoon, and because it's difficult to see the sun through a misty forest, because it's difficult to tell exactly what time it is, lethargy kind of sets in early. There's this sleepy feeling being in the border forest where the whole place is like just like a lullaby that is trying to lure you to a sleep before revealing itself as a nightmare. Lots of mist, lots of reaching old oaks, lots of groaning wood, and a great stillness that transforms into sudden gusts of wind. And within this tranquil but somewhat serene and eerie environment, there comes the thunderous boom of what might be an explosion, followed by the crash and tumble of hundreds of pounds, thousands of pounds of stone falling. Boom! Crash! Tumble, crumble, crash! Echo, echo, echo.
Mhm.
And then nothing.
In what direction is it?
Vaguely the direction that we're going, but really deeper into the heart. So if we're going west, it's northwest.
Well, probably best to avoid that.
Sounds like a whole lot of not my problem right now.
We've got too much to worry about with with our cargo.
Yeah, we don't want to get the rescued slaves caught in the crossfire.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're in the depths of the forest now, a deep, dark, misty forest with lots of wide rivers and groaning ancient oaks. What sort of campsite are we looking for now? There ain't no clearings for our marquees here.
Probably something by a stream.
Uh-huh. Brilliant.
Number one.
Absolutely. You find a place with fireflies and big trout, and some small freshwater crayfish.
Is there a clump of trees that we
Myth.
could? Because we have the marquee, but there's no. We don't have to set it up as a marquee. We can use it basically as like an overhead tarp, and we have
Absolutely.
rope that can tie it up and have an overhead shelter.
Works
Let's go.
brilliantly. It's a great idea, and it's not as efficient. It's not as enclosed as a tent would be, because it's not a tent. It's as you say, a tarpaulin. But it keeps the wind off, and it allows the mist to settle on the top rather than on our faces, and it just provides a more comfortable and more dry experience. But after about 10 minutes of getting this done, and you know, it's just going to take a lot longer than that to get the top set up. Boom! Crash! Tumble, tumble, echo, echo. From the same direction. No, not closer. Pretty much the same direction. Same distance.
Yep, still sounds like a whole bunch of not on our business.
And these echoes occur 4 or 5 more times over the course of the next hour between twilight and darkness. But once darkness settles in completely, the explosions stop.
Problem solved.
Problem solved. The problem is solved. Carrick, a D100, please.
D100.
Yes. All right, 73. Very good.
Hey guys, I made a whole new list of random encounters. We avoid all of them.
I'm really glad that you are. It's filling me with delight, that a genuine delight that you're experiencing them and not taking them.
Might be different if we weren't escorting 30 Bedouin women.
Exactly.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
We lead them to the giant booms. Maybe it's something good. We are all instantly crushed. Damn it.
You could definitely have.
Like, they have like 4 HP. Like,
Yeah, can we go back to the lumberyard? Like, what are you guys doing?
All right. Everybody make a perception check at disadvantage.
Oh.
It's pretty good.
19.
That's
Right
nuts.
behind you.
You guys are doing pretty well, all in all. Okay, so the night goes relatively peacefully. The howl of wolves is incessant. You are disturbed by bats, and occasionally you'll find a poisonous snake in your sleeping bag. But for the most part, the night passes without any serious incident. However, during the night, you spot a few curiosities, carvings into the trees, rocks that have been painted, and ribbons of fiber that have been left in strategic parts of various trees, and all green, all emerald green, a beautiful emerald green. The first time you see it, you probably don't notice it. The second time, it becomes amusing, and by the third time, it becomes curious. But it happens more than 3 times. You find a rock, or a carving, or a ribbon, and they're all this beautiful shade of emerald green. And while that's interesting, but really only curious, come the morning, you spot footprints. The footprints are fresh because they're wet. They're not footprints in the mud, they're footprints on the stone that have been made by wet feet. The feet are proportionately shaped and sized to be slightly smaller than average humans. Humans that are 5 to 5.5 feet tall.
I suppose he'll
They're
pick one of
fresh.
them up and take it to Dalavash and just sort of gesture if he can keep it, or like is it do we leave it?
If you pick up the rock, it's like the footprint is only made with water, so it will kind of drip, right? Like this will vanish in 10 minutes through evaporation.
Probably
It's
like
that fresh.
One of the green rocks?
One of the green rocks.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful little rock. It's probably only worth a gold piece because it's just a painted rock, but it looks nice.
Yeah, he likes the little rock. He'll go to Dalavash and see if he'll say something about him taking it. I guess not.
Yeah.
About taking the rock?
Yeah.
No, I'm fine with it.
Speaking of the green rocks and stuff, can I see what kind of damage was done to him? If it was damage or if it was just like something settled on top of it? Like, is it caked on there, or is it? It's been painted.
Painted it. Yeah, deliberately painted it with a beautiful color green. Like this color paint would probably be quite expensive. But it would be suitable for a master painter in the capital city of Sembia to use this emerald green in his depiction of a lady's dress. It's beautiful. Yeah, the paint is probably worth, or in fact, the paint is definitely worth more than the rock itself.
I suppose while it's fresh, can I try to follow the footprints, see or can I see where they lead?
All right, make a survival check. Yeah,
can I do an investigation?
Investigation. Also, investigation is perfectly fine. Like that's following footprints is definitely investigation. Not great, but
I think I'll use my inspiration.
You might as well.
Can I maybe try and help him out with that? If I see him trying to follow the footprints, I'm interested as well. Let me see if I can help out.
Absolutely.
Do guidance.
I can't.
Really,
Is that how that works?
Normally you'd
I rolled
give someone
the
an advantage, but and so between the pair of you, whether it's Neum getting assistance from Flightless or whether Flightless gets assistance from Neum, you work out that the footprints, which are fresh, 10 minutes old, have come into your camp and started poking around with your shit, and then have kind of run back off into the forest, but not. But they don't look like they've run far. You don't see where the footprints go, but for all you know, you could be surrounded by invisible people just beyond the edge of your vision, somewhere behind that oak or that pine or that misty rock. And if you've left any stuff loose, and no doubt you have, like a quiver full of arrows or a water skin or a bedroll, it might have been taken. Look, it doesn't look like necessarily valuable stuff, but certainly useful stuff has been snitched.
I'll go back to where I picked up the little green rock, and I'll put like a silver coin where I took it from.
Yeah.
You said they did this the night before?
No. This is dawn. This is. It's during the night we find little rocks and little ribbons and little markings, and during the night it's like, well, that's kind of weird. That's kind of curious, and you probably tell your mate when you swap over shifts. You go, oh, I found this rock. Oh, I found a ribbon. It's pretty curious. But come dawn, once dawn's light is filtering in, and there's no actual sunrise because the forest is too thick to see the sunrise. But as the ambient light begins to turn the mist from grey to white, bang! This arrow flies out of the forest and strikes right beside, just as Flightless is putting the silver piece back down, and the arrow lodges into a tree. It has a beautiful emerald green feathers on its pine shaft, and you see a single archer at a tree with his bow still drawn. He appears to be human, but he's wearing basically no clothes. He has a loincloth and very little except that, but he is painted, not his whole body, but he is painted in stripes in that beautiful emerald green colour that is the same colour as the ribbons and the stone and everything else, feathers. He says something to you in a language you don't understand, but his gesture is pretty obvious. Get out. Go back the way you have come. Go back. Go. He knocks another arrow. He gestures towards the other trees, angrily, or not urgently, but, trying to get some message across. This tree, that tree, that tree. Go!
He'll shout out something and Flightless will mimic something out in Elven. See if you can...
He repeats something back to you in Sylvan. Does anyone speak Sylvan?
I guess not.
Guess not.
Someone want to try Druidic?
Yeah, I can try Druidic.
Doesn't seem to recognise it either. But your Elven and your Druidic seem to have brought you enough goodwill that he doesn't pull the arrow tight. He leaves the arrow knocked, but doesn't pull it tight.
I know that.
Go.
Probably
go back the way you have come. Go.
To be honest, my Flightless as Elven probably wouldn't be goodwill because it would be in a drow accent.
It doesn't seem to register to them. Yeah.
I'm gonna cast a small illusion in front of me to basically just kind of a holographic map. I don't necessarily know the area on a map, but I'm just gonna show like a patch of forest and desert on the other side, and just a straight line going through, just to try and get across that we're trying to just get through here. We're not trying to cause any trouble.
Your illusion provokes gasps from the trees. All around you, gasp, gasp, or at least in a hemisphere around you. The trees start gasping, but the war chief holds up his hand to silence the trees. He points towards the map aggressively, angrily, using the occasional Elven word, because Sylvan and Elven have common roots, to talk about witchcraft and sorcery and danger. But he looks at your map. Make a persuasion or insight or Kana check to try to get your message across, either through words or magic, or by understanding his mind.
Guidance.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, guidance will be fine, so you can add a d4 to that, Dan. 17 is pretty good. Okay, so the message you were trying to get across is we want to get to the desert, right?
Yeah, we're going in a straight line as little through the forest as we can to just try and get to the desert.
He shows you here, this place where you're about to walk into. No, cannot. You go up and around, you go down and around, you don't go through. This is ours. This is our territory. Go this way, that way, backwards. Not here.
I'm gonna nod and I'm gonna make the line I have drawn through the map kind of split in either way to make a circle around the area he's saying to avoid, and try and ask, this is an okay path? This is okay?
Yes, and he seems to, if you go north of this mountain or south of that river, then okay.
I suppose while this is going on for this, he'll take his backpack off and just try to put his the short bow into it. The elven one.
Yeah.
Just to make it so it's less visible.
Mm-hmm. All right. The human man nods, and from a little medicine bag, the only piece of equipment he has apart from his bow and his war knife, he pulls out a small salve. It's wrapped up in leaves, and it contains a paste the same color as the rock and everything else. And he shows you. He takes a small bit of it, and he applies a small bit of it to his hand, and his hand disappears. Completely vanishes. And he rubs it and washes it, and his hand is visible again. And he offers you this jar of paste.
I'll go ahead and dismiss my illusion, and I'll accept it as inoffensively as I can manage, with just a nod of thanks.
And he nods and says something to you again in Sylvan, and gestures towards the trees, and men and a few women just like him step out from behind the trees wearing the same green paint that he's wearing and the same green paint that he's given to you. And they have taken some of your stuff. Now, I know a couple of people have already left, but I'll leave a message for them. Everybody needs to go through their character sheet and find one item that these guys have taken, and delete it from your character sheet unless you want to start a fight about it and get it up. But it seems that as far as he's concerned, he's traded you this invisibility paste for the stuff that they've already stolen from you.
Would they see gems as worth?
Probably not, because probably not. It's more like something that you've left beside, like a cup or an axe or a bedroll, something that's useful to cave people, forest people.
Okay, I'll remove the small knife that comes with my equipment.
I suppose I'll just do a 1d28 to remove the what? Well then.
Absolutely. Yeah. That's no fairer way to do it than that.
I think my javelins are gone again.
Done.
Oh, he stole my horn.
Horn is gone. It's a good horn.
The drow, no, he's actually upset about that. Because as part of his uniform, the drow was like, if you ever lose this, I'm gonna break your arms. It's like, and now he's lost
it. You lost your sentimental item. That's tragic.
It's like visible sadness on the Kenku.
Alright. And at that, we have run over time, so we will probably have to call it.
Well, we'll say goodbye to the internet. Goodbye,
Yep.
internet.
Goodbye and good night, internet.
Thanks, everyone. Let's see you all soon.
DLC?
Yeah, and thanks, Blake, for coming along.
my crowbar!
Your crowbar is gone? Excellent. Hope you had a good time, man. I hope to see you again next week. And it seemed to me that you were a great fit. That was my impression.